Hello everyone, welcome to What If Naruto Was the Eldest Son of the Uzumaki Royal Spartan Bloodline movie. Before we start, please go support Nicuchio for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made. There will be some mistaken character's gender, but of course Naruto is a male. Uzushio no Sato, the hidden village of the Whirlpools, destroyed in the Second Shinobi War, now abandoned. The nation with the greatest wealth on the elemental continent. Konoha, home to the current survivors of the Uzu royalty. The plan by the Daimyos is carried out to seize the entire Uzumaki fortune. The problem, the living Uzumakis in Konoha. An old man with a thirst for power, with a dream of forging an empire with capital in Konoha. A Uchiha deserter and eager for revenge, the origin of all movement. Shinto shows in activity. It is time for the Olympians to show their presence in these lands. If the Akatsuki being extraterrestrials are considered gods, why not the real ones? Greek lifestyle versus shinobi and samurai lifestyle. Can they coexist peacefully? Chapter 1. The beginning. The elemental nations, home to the largest shinobi villages in all of history. A world where villages distrust each other, populated by truly greedy people, many of them holding high-ranking positions. Each village was independent from the others, but always depended on the daimyos, the supreme rulers of each country in the world, all except one, Uzushio no Sato, the hidden village of the Whirlpools. It was said in every history book or scroll that Uzushio was the most prosperous village and worthy of a good life, since its people, mostly made up of the Uzumaki clan, were peaceful, but if they were bothered, Hades or Thanatos take pity on your soul. Their wealth and combat levels were unique, so they were both respected and feared. Their wealth was the envy of every daimyo, so at the end of the Second Shinobi War, Uzu was secretly attacked by Iwakiri Kumo and other smaller villages, the first out of envy and revenge for the Leaf Village, the others on the orders of their daimyos. While they largely achieved their goal, they did not fully achieve it. Uzu's heiress, Kushina Uzumaki, had escaped to Konoha and settled there. Time passed and Kushina Uzumaki, nicknamed the Bloody Habanero, had married Minato Namikaze, having 3 children, the eldest of them, heir to the clan, and the legacy that the Uzu ruins kept hidden, Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi no Kitsune, the 9-tailed fox, and currently Chunin of the Leaf Village, pride of his parents, role model for his younger brother and overprotective brother with the youngest of his siblings, and admired by the grandson of the late Sandaime Hokage. The hero who sealed the Kyuubi in him to save the Leaf Village, a village which from its roots is mired in corruption, greed, immorality, disloyalty and above all by betrayal. The long-awaited and enacted will of fire that Hashirama had sustained once the village was created, had gone out. At the moment we are in Konoha, specifically the office of the Godame, for the moment, Hokage of the Leaf Village, in front of the 2 Chunins of the rookie generation, Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki and Shikamaru Nara, who were being given the mission to recover Sasuke, who had deserted the Leaf Village and gone in search of Orochimaru by power. Tsunade. Do you understand your mission well? Naruto. Yes, Grandma. Shikamaru. Problematic but yes. After those words, the 2 of them left to look for the rest of the rookies, including Guy's team, but while this was happening in the Hokage's office, in the Namikaze mansion, Minato was talking to Kushina and Jiraiya about a bad feeling they had. Elsewhere. Higher capital. In the halls of the palace of the daimyo of the Land of Fire, we can find several daimyos present for the purpose of holding a summit to address an important issue. Among those present was the current daimyo of the Land of Spring, Koyuki Kazuhana, who had a bad feeling and would confirm her suspicions at the summit. Higher daimyo. Welcome to my chambers. Everyone would respond with extreme courtesy to return the gesture. Daimyo of the earth. And to what do we owe this call? Lightning daimyo. I agree with this. Daimyo of the wind. I would like to know what the need is for us all to gather here. Higher daimyo. You remember that Uzushio was destroyed at the end of the Second Shinobi War, right? All. Yes, and what does that have to do with it? Higher daimyo. As you know, Uzu had not one but the greatest wealth of all the nations of the elemental continent, right? Water daimyo? Yes, since you want to get there with this. Daimyo. Remember there are several Uzumakis alive then. Lightning daimyo. Yes, and most of them live in Konoha and your domains. Brass daimyo. One lived in his domains but escaped, and they say she is with that pale Sanin with pedophilia tendencies, the niece of the Yondame's wife. Wine daimyo. So what do you want to do? Higher daimyo. Only the blood of the Uzu royal family can open the whirlpool, that is why I propose to eliminate the remaining Uzumakis and seize those riches. Koyuki. I'm out of this, I won't be part of this plot, my nation won't be affected. Hoki. Birdland won't be in this either. Haruna. The country of vegetables neither. Higher daimyo. And what will they do? He asked in a threatening tone. Koyuki. We'll be neutral in this with nods from her companions. Higher daimyo. Someone against except for the aforementioned no one raised their hand. It is well decided, for the good of the elemental nations, it is time for the end of the Uzumakis. After those words the daimyos retired to their bedrooms in order to plan their next moves, especially the fire daimyo who asked Danzo Shimura to take charge in exchange for naming him Hokage, something that the old war hawk happily agreed to do, while quietly he outlined his plans. In Koyuki's chambers. The three daimyos that Naruto had helped in the past and out of respect for the blonde, decided to send a respective letter to Konoha, especially to Minato, since they never knew who the current godame is. For this reason they hoped to do something at least by helping the blonde. Konoha. The Sasuke Uchiha recovery team had already left on their mission, and the first clashes with the Sound team were taking place, as they were in the cases of Jirobo vs Choji and Kidomaru vs Niji, while Taiya began her confrontation with Shikamaru. In the village everything was chaos, someone had leaked that information, and the civilians were clamoring for the blood of the last Uchiha. They no longer praised him as in the past. This caught the attention of the senseis, saving Asuma, who was one of those who wanted him dead. In the Hokage Tower, Tsunade was signing papers when a messenger bird entered with the symbol of Koyuki Kazuhana calling her attention, so she began to read the letter, where word by word, the Senju began to open her eyes in disbelief, astonishment, anger, sadness and above all betrayal. Her grandmother was in Uzumaki, and for such a greedy, ambitious reason, a clan was being condemned to death for wealth. Not even for power as Danzo and the most corrupt counselors of any existing shinobi village would do. Maybe the honorable council members would be in favor, but this already crossed a line of morality for the Senju. Tsunade. Shizune. I need you. Shizune. Tsunade-sama, what do you need? Tsunade. I'll leave the paperwork to you, I need to see something. Tsunade sped off towards the Namikaze mansion, without first stopping at the village's hot springs, to beat up a white-haired Sannin with a perversion air, managing to find him before the Sannin, addicted to writing his infamous orange-covered book, began to be inspired by the women in the waters, enjoying a moment of relaxation. Jiraiya. What's going on? Tsunade. Pervert hitting him hard. Jiraiya. The super pervert takes off again, flying away. Tsunade. Oh no, you're not flying away, jumping and taking it, you're coming with me. So Tsunade, with Jiraiya in tow, who was begging for mercy for something perverted that he surely did, went to the Namikaze mansion where she was received by Minato, who was meeting with Tsume, Hiashi, Shikaku, Choza, Shibi and Inoichi, who were talking with Kushina about the lease of their lands, product that were Uzumaki properties. Minato. Tsunade, what's going on? Tsunade. Come in. Upon entering, the godame saw those who were gathered in the mansion's living room. Kushina. Tsunade-sensei, what's going on? Tsunade. Minato, Kushina, you better read this, handing over the received letter, and you too, Jiraiya. Kushina seemed to lose the color of her skin more and more, her eyes began to shed tears, not only out of sadness, because she considered that they could do whatever they wanted with her, but also with fury. With her children they were untouchable for her, but at the end of reading the letter, it collapsed and was caught in time by Tsume and Hiashi, who were surprised. The letter ended up under Shikaku's feet, who began to read the letter with caution. Minato was the same as Kushina, while Inoichi and Shibi held him back from his surprise, sadness, fury and feeling of betrayal that he was receiving. In the case of Jiraiya he was already blank, because he did not know what to do or say. From the lines here read, it was likely that the civilians and advisors already had the order, but all this was brought out when a red-haired boy entered the room, while a brown-haired boy followed him, both chasing a little blonde girl. With Oka-san. Oto-san. Worried seeing her parents like that. Tsunade. Shiro and Konohamaru can take Mito to the courtyard, please. Shiro. Yes, Ba-chan. Tsunade. I'll let it go this time. Konohamaru. Mito-chan, come. With. I'm coming, Konohamaru Nai. Shiro. See you later. Tsunade. Jiraiya, you better draw silent seals. Jiraiya would do as requested while they helped Kushina and Minato regain their composure by fanning them with whatever they had on hand and bringing them water. Shikaku. Is this real? Tsunade. Yes. Minato. Unfortunately yes, it is the seal of the Spring Daimyo. Hiashi and the others would read the letter with a feeling of anger. Hiashi. If this is so, how long will it take for them to come for us? Tsunade. We can't avoid it. Shibi. If you ask me what to do, it is best to prepare ourselves. Because of the Uchiha's mission, it is most likely that they will order his execution, whether he completes the mission or not. Minato. That's a fact that they will. Kushina. And what will we do? Minato. It's best for them to leave, the wave is the best option for them now. They can even go to Yuzu and take refuge there and protect those lands and riches better than from here. Kushina. But Minato are just children. Minato. I know. Shikaku. It's best for the teams to go with them. Hiashi. Our children can go with them, Konoha is no longer safe. Inoichi. It's best to let them talk and tell each other everything. So the clan leaders left preparing their plan. Their children, Hana, Kiba, Ino, Shikamaru, Choji, Hinata, Hanabi, would go with Naruto and the others. It was no surprise that Shiro and Konohamaru were close to him. They admired him so much that they even made the same jokes, the same hexi jutsu for a change, and they had planned to paint the cage's faces again. Minato. Kushina, let's get things ready, it's not safe here anymore. Jiraiya. But it doesn't guarantee that Danzo won't move his Anbus to look for them. Kushina. I don't know. Minato. I prefer that to them dying while I stand around doing nothing, sensei. Kushina. Me too. Understanding her husband's words, let's prepare the letters and their luggage. Jiraiya. I will go with them. Konoha is no longer the same as the first one founded, that the second one tried to maintain, and that sensei wanted to make it last, its foundations are already rotten. Tsunade. I think I'll leave too, since I have no doubt they'll take me away for defending them. So it was done, the Namikaze Uzumaki family was preparing to leave the village to never return to it. Chapter 2. A Father's Love, Goodbye Konoha. The Uchiha recovery team had already defeated their first opponents, Kidomaru, Jirobo, the twins Seiken and Yukin, and Taiya, the latter leaving her alive on Naruto's orders to confirm a theory, whether the foul-mouthed deed was in Uzumaki, but for that he needed her alive and Tsunade to confirm his theories. Naruto for his part followed Sasuke to the Valley of the End, where they both stood at the statues of Hashirama and Madara while looking at each other. Sasuke. I'm not going back, dope, you're not going to take me back to a village that limits me. Naruto. You know, I promised to bring you back alive and not kill you. Sasuke. And why did you do it? Naruto. Because despite your flaws you're like my brother. Sasuke. Bonds no longer matter to me, they're just a hindrance. Power is the only doctrine that exists. I have no living family, and the wounds my brother caused by massacring my clan will not be healed if I don't come to my clan. Naruto. You're wrong, team, Orochimaru won't heal those wounds. Sasuke extending his hand. Sasuke. Damn Naruto, you don't know what I suffered, you don't understand. Orochimaru is my chance to gain the power I need. Naruto. If necessary, you'll understand things by hitting them, my friend. Both would begin a taijutsu duel where they remained equal in many aspects, even with the emo using the curse mark, until they would begin to use ninjutsu, both throwing Kaiten and Suiton jutsus to stop each other, while a silver-haired man arrived on the scene, being noticed by Naruto, sending a clone to talk to him about a plan, and preventing the silver-haired man from getting in the way. Sasuke. Enough, dope, you won't stop me from going with him. Tracing hand seals Chidori. Naruto just stood there as Sasuke threw himself at him and buried the jutsu in his chest, making the blonde spit blood, leaving Sasuke stunned. He never wanted to kill him, he didn't dare, although the emo duck ass wouldn't admit it. Naruto was like his brother, and in his own way he loved him. Sasuke. No, that's not what I wanted. No Naruto, no. Kakashi saw this and was about to intervene, but Naruto's clone wouldn't let him. Naruto. Sasuke getting his attention. And once you get your revenge, what will you do? Once you have pushed everyone away, killed those who mattered to you, consummated your revenge and possibly killed Orochimaru as you want to do, what will you do? By the end, there will be no one left to accompany you in your life, you will lose sense of it, and you will be more alone than you feel today, added to the fact that your conscience will never stop tormenting you for killing your loved ones for power. Sasuke was stunned by those words as he pulled his arm out of Naruto's body and watched as the Kyuubi's chakra began to act to heal him. Naruto. And what do you decide? Sasuke. The outcome of this battle will determine whether I stay or leave. Smiling a little without the influence of the curse mark. If you defeat me, I will stay by your side and progress with you, brother. Both continued fighting while Kakashi smiled at those words from his students, although a chill suddenly ran down his spine, a bad feeling brewing in his mind. Sasuke and Naruto, already determined after a good while of fighting, decided to close their fight in a final clash. Sasuke. Chidori. Naruto. Rasengan. The powerful impact resonated throughout the area, while Konoha's sensors went jittery as they sensed the collision in the distance. The clash of the two techniques left both of them sprawling on the ground, breathing heavily. Sasuke. Being the son of a cage you wouldn't understand. Naruto. Do you know the only time my father and I fought? When I decided that the village deserved to know that I was a Jinchuriki and that I protected them from the power of the Biju, before meeting him as happened to me with Kurama, who has taught me a lot since I was a child. Don't get attached to the villagers, my father said, their hatred for the creature will prevent you from developing into the shinobi you should be. What do you think happened? I was the receptacle of hatred, persecutions on my birthday, if I left my home on that day or 2 days after it, but just as a large part of them hate me, I found friends, people I could trust, because warriors like us team, trust, our friendships, strengthen us, we do not fight to kill the enemy, but to defend our loved ones, that's why it hurts when we fail. Sasuke. You really understand me. Naruto would stand up and extend his hand toward Sasuke, who would reciprocate the gesture and stand up, while Kakashi arrived at the area and helped carry both of them with a clone of himself. In Konoha, to be specific, root headquarters. Danzo. The Kyuubi brat has used the power of the Nine Tails. Tamura. He's a threat. Taharu. By Konoha we must proceed. Denzo. Danzo-sama, a message from Daimyo-sama has arrived. Danzo. And what does Daimyo want? Denzo. He says it is in order to finish off the Uzumakis of this village once and for all. Tamura. What thing? Taharu. An Uchiha. Danzo. The Uchiha has failed in our plan to become strong for the village by going with Orochimaru, and the elder Uzumaki has been a burden ever since. Tamura. He has also used the Kyuubi's chakra. Everyone in the room would nod. At the entrance of the village. Everyone had returned from the mission where Kakashi had filled everyone in on the past, surprising everyone, especially the brow duo, but the one who wasn't pleased was Asuma Sarutobi, giving a look that said otherwise, something his former genin noticed. After that, they decided to take Naruto and Sasuke to the hospital where one of the two was treated. Namika's mansion. Minato and Kushina were sealing everything, all their weapons, bank accounts, money, jutsus, and even their clan information to prevent them from leaving it in Konoha. Everything was going well, but Kushina collapsed in tears. Kushina. Why, after so many years, why? My clan was peaceful, they never raised a kunai in aggression, they only defended themselves, why would the greedy want that? Minato. I don't know Kushina, I don't know. I'm skip one day. Tsunade had a very bad feeling, because in the Hokage's office, while Kakashi and Jiraiya accompanied her. Tsunade. Something is coming and it's not good. Jiraiya. I know, but something is bothering me. Kakashi. What would that be? Jiraiya. The other day, Gamamaru called me and told me that the prophecy of the world savior was changing too much for his liking. Minato doesn't know because I didn't want to worry him, especially with the current situation. Kakashi and Tsunade. What did he say? Jiraiya. He only mentioned the champion of Olympus will appear in this world, I don't know what he means by Olympus, I've never heard anything like that, not even in the records of ancient cultures, and from the era before that of the Sage of the Six Paths. At the hospital de la Hoja. Yamanaka, one of Danzo's most loyal Anbu, had entered the Uchiha's room unnoticed, who curiously was next to the blonde Uzumaki. The Anbu had begun to draw kanji on the Uchiha's torso, where due to the pain and burning in his eyes, the dark-haired man woke up screaming in pain, alerting everyone. Naruto. Team. Watching the Anbu leave Sasuke. Naruto went out to ask for help but didn't notice any nurse or doctor present, so he decided to return to the room, attending to Sasuke who was breathing heavily. Naruto. Fear. Sasuke. Me Sharingan. Naruto. What? Sasuke. I can't activate it anymore. Naruto. We must go to the Hokage, she will know what to do. Hokage's office, a few minutes later. Jiraiya. What is about to happen? Tsunade. I don't know. Naruto. Grandma Tsunade entering in hospital attire with Sasuke. Tsunade. What's going on? Why did you escape from the hospital? Naruto. There's no time, Grandma. An Anbu with a strange kanji entered the hospital and put a seal on Sasuke and now he can't use his Sharingan. Jiraiya. Let me see analyzing the emo's torso I see. Tsunade. What do you see? Jiraiya. It's a bloodline destroying seal, from what I see even if he removes it the damage is already done. Naruto. But who? I only know that the hospital was empty, there were no nurses or doctors. That surprised everyone but then an Anbu would appear. Anbu. Lady Hokage, the council requests your presence, along with that of Chunin Uzumaki. Tsunade. What's going on? Sasuke. Lady Hokage, I know I can't ask for anything, but I want to accompany you. Tsunade. Okay. Boardroom. Everyone was gathered, including Kushina and Minato who didn't know what was happening. Tsunade. Let's see what happens. Shinobi clans. We ask ourselves the same question. Minato. That's what I'd like to know. Danzo. Chunin Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto. Sasuke. What's going on? Hamura. This room is not for traitors, get out Uchiha. Tsunade. I allowed it and you don't give orders since you are not a cage. Danzo. Anyway, it has been shown that Namikaze has used the power of the Nine Tails chakra. Civilian 1. Deserves to die. Civil 2. The demon must be killed. Hamura. Who guarantees that he won't use it against the village? Danzo. That is why even in view of the damage to Uchiha Sasuke. Sasuke. Damage. Damage your stupid Ambus did. Danzo. And they did well since by decision of this council, with the exception of the Hyuga, Aburame, Yamanaka, Uzumaki, Nara and Akimichi clans, you are banished from the Leaf Village, you will have one day to leave this place. Sasuke and Naruto. What? Danzo. And in your case Namikaze, bring them. At that point several Anbus appear with Shiro, Konohamaru and Mito who were tied up. Myth. Oka-san, Odo-san. Shiro. Mito ni. Konohamaru. Kushina. What are they doing to them? Minato was ready to go on the attack. Danzo. By order of Daimyo-sama, as well as the rest of the daimyos of the elemental nations, the Uzumakis must be executed, Anbus. Everyone prepared to carry out the order while Minato and Naruto. Rasengan. Kushina. Kongo Fusa. Myth was going to be crossed but Kakashi. Get away from her being pierced by him. Team 7 present. Sensei. Minato. Kakashi. Minato would take Naruto who was in shock. Minato. Naruto, I want you to take your brothers and leave. Naruto. But what? Minato. The village is not safe, at least for you, take your brothers and go, I know you will be great. Naruto. Odo-san. Minato. Jiraiya is waiting for them at the exit. Naruto took Mito while Sasuke took Konohamaru and Shiro followed them receiving instructions from Kushina. Danzo. Anbus. Tsunade. So even my own Anbus. Hamura. Due to the Hokage's insurgency, Lady Tsunade has been deposed from the position of Godam Hokage, so you will also be banished. Minato. Shikaku, get out of here. Shikaku along with the important clan leaders and Tsunade along with Shizune would leave the office. Danzo. Minato, stop this madness, you're saved because you're not Uzumaki, why do you do it? Minato. Does a man need reason to protect his children? Kushina. This is goodbye my children. Danzo. You're welcome. In the Leaf Village a great commotion had arisen over what had happened while the Yondaime and his wife were seen fighting against several Anbu. Anichiraku. Shikamaru. It's time. Jiaoji. See. Ino. Let's go. At the academy. Iruka. What's going on? Mogi. Sensei said they would kill Naruto and the Yondaime is defending him. Yuden. Everyone is calling the boss a monster. Iruka. And you. Both. Our parents exiled us for defending Naruto. Enko. Iruka, take them and let's go. So those who were loyal to Naruto, such as Team Guy, Team Kurenai and various shinobi, began to prepare to leave the village. The fight was such that Kushina would fall to the ground from exhaustion while an Anbu placed a sword directly into her heart. Minato. Kushina. Danzo. What a pity you were saved Minato lifting the blonde and burying his arm with Sharingans in his chest. No don't judge it's the best there was end of note. In the sheet entry. Jiraiya. Kids, let's go, you won't be safe here anymore. Naruto. Yes. Shiro. Brother, what will happen to dad? Naruto. I'll tell you everything, okay? Smiling at him don't be afraid. Sasuke. Let's go. Jiraiya. I got ahead of myself and stole some things from the Uchiha district. I hope they help you. Sasuke. We'll see later, let's go carrying Konohamaru. In the forests of Konoha. The group was jumping from tree to tree while those who believed in him joined him. Shikamaru. Troublesome blonde. Naruto. I don't plan on returning and they won't stop me. Kiba. And who said we would return you? Shino. We're going with you. Iruka. I'm not going to stay without my best student. Yuden and Mogi. We can't stay without the boss. Naruto. Guys. Hinata. If we stay, they'll mark me and God knows what they'll do to my sister. Ino. So this is what we'll do. Jiaoji. Those who break the laws are scum. Hitetsu and Izumo. But those who abandon their friends are worse than trash. Tsunade. You brought me to the village, so I'll go with you carrying Tucci. Am. And without our favorite customers, we won't be left being carried by Shizune. All. Goodbye Konoha. Chapter 3. Repercussions, knowing the legacy. The former Konoha shinobis were jumping from branch to branch towards one of the few places they knew would be safe, the land of waves. There, its inhabitants loved Naruto and Team 7 very much, they would never give them up because of that almost blind fanaticism towards the hero who freed them from Geto. On the way they saw the situation of several, many were exhausted because not all were shinobi and they had been traveling for 2 days without rest. They managed to see that many were orphans from the orphanage, children that Naruto always visited and helped give them training for the shinobi life. Not being from a clan they would never receive proper training until they reached the academy, added to the fact that several disappeared mysteriously. That is why Minato secretly gave him the mission to be in the orphanage helping the children and educating them in the shinobi arts, always noticing several Anbus with kanji that symbolized their loyalty to Danzo, knowing why they kidnapped the infants, making them puppets of Danzo. After analyzing the whole situation they decided that it was best to establish a camp. Naruto. It's best to rest. Shikamaru. I know but what will happen? We'll take turns on guard duty. Iruka. Anko, Jiraiya-sama, Yugao, Isumo, Kitetsu and I will do the first round, rest, and especially you Naruto, you need it with your brothers. Naruto. Of course. Shiro. Brother, what happened? Why did they want to kill us? Where is dad? Where is mom? Myth. Where Nai-san? Konohamaru. Where are Kushina Oka-san and Minato 2-san? Those words surprised Naruto, but he didn't show it. It was known that Konohamaru was the grandson of the Sandaime Hokage, and that his parents had died. Anyone would think that his uncle Asuma would have taken care of him, but that wasn't the case. As a shinobi, he was never at home, and the time that he was, Konohamaru asked to be trained, receiving in return beatings, insults and denigration, all for several weeks until Minato himself saw him. Deciding that it was best for him to be with him due to the closeness of the child with Naruto, that is why before the law Minato and Kushina were the legal parents of the minor Sarutobi. Shikamaru. You better tell them, you know. Sasuke. I'm with him. Niji. Count on us. Naruto. I would appreciate it if you were around, guys. Naruto sat his brothers around a campfire while his classmates from the academy helped him prepare for how difficult it would be to tell the children the truth. Naruto. You see, after the team was returned to the village, an order was received demanding that all those of Uzumaki blood be killed. Sasuke. K. Shikamaru. Troublesome. Hiba. But how? Niji. What a shitty fate. Shiro. But dad doesn't. Myth. He wouldn't do it, right on the verge of tears. Naruto. No, he wouldn't do it since he found out from Koyuki-san and the other daimyos that we helped, so they warned of the Uzumaki Plan Zero. The reason, the other daimyos wanted to access Uzushio no Sato and claim the Uzumaki lands and wealth, in addition to obtaining ownership of several Uzumaki lands around the elemental continent. Sasuke. They were ordered to kill for riches basically. Everyone. Don't be cruel. Sasuke. What? It makes more sense than what Itachi told me about killing my clan for power, although now that I think about it, it sounds stupid. Naruto. In that case, here handing a letter, it's a letter from my father about the Uchiha massacre, something that your father and I saw coming from the civil council. Shikamaru. It's true, my father said there were meetings behind the backs of the shinobi in cages. Sasuke. I'll read it later, continue with your thing. Naruto. Shiro, Mito and Konohamaru, I'm sorry, starting to cry. The civil council and the councillors were ordered to kill the four of us, in your case Konohamaru, since in one night mother made a blood change seal, so you are Uzumaki. That's surprising everyone. Mom and dad could do nothing more than help us escape. They wanted the four of us to save ourselves and move on. I'm sorry, I could only get you out of there with Sasuke. They surely. Gucci. Naruto, they were killed. I saw it while Shizune took us out of there. With AM we saw the moment when Kushina was killed by a katana and your father was pierced by Danzo's arm. The Namikaze siblings then fell to their knees, crying as the others present tried to calm them down. Tsunade hugged Mito, who found no comfort. Shiro was held by Lee and Niji, Konohamaru by Kiba and Yuden, while Naruto tried to remain tough, giving in to crying little by little, being held by Shikamaru and Choji. That night was a bitter night. The children cried themselves to sleep in the laps of those supporting them, with the exception of Naruto, who refused to sleep, although Jiraiya had to threaten him to make him do it. And the rest of the elemental nations. The news of what happened in Konoha spread like wildfire in the war. Many who were enemies of the leaf could not help but rejoice or get angry. And Iwa. Minato's death only made Inoki happy, who was happier than usual. His granddaughter Kuritsuchi was oblivious to this feeling, because although she considered the Yellow Lightning an enemy, she did not want death when they were at peace. But the worst came when the Rock Daimyo ordered the killing of every Uzumaki they saw, something that Inoki did very well, because since the Second Shinobi War, Iwa did not like those tomato hairs. Upon learning that Minato's children were alive and were Uzumakis, he always sent to kill them, something that the Kunoichi did not share with her grandfather, since the sins of the fathers do not fall on the children. She even learned of an alliance between Iwa and Konoha for that cause, where a clause included the delivery of orphans to Danzo. Kuritsuchi, making the hardest decision of her life, opted to go to the orphanages, finding a pair of Anbus that she killed, saving the children, and deciding to leave the village, being branded as a renegade in Iwa, and hearing how her own grandfather ordered her to be killed on sight. She, devastated, decided to head in one direction, the land of waves. She had heard of the achievements of Namikaze Jr., so if he was a hero there, they would not hand him over and would keep him safe, choosing to settle there and, if those present agreed, return to the waves, a village similar to the others. Left. The civil war had ended some time ago, and both Igura and Mei had come to an agreement, but upon learning that something behind it had forced them to do just that, a Genjutsu cast from a Sharingan had caused death and desolation, so once the war was over they decided to rebuild Kiri. Too bad that wouldn't happen anytime soon. The Water Daimyo decided to banish both of them from the Mist Village, so that his subordinates would learn to never rise up like they did, since doing so would guarantee that they wouldn't rise up against him. This was not the only thing that happened, since the Water Daimyo sympathized with Danzo and made an alliance under the delivery of orphan children to the old Warhawk, which greatly annoyed many, in addition to the fact that it was decided to make all Jinchuriki weapons without feelings, which affected Yugura directly despite being banished, so ninjas loyal to both, such as Shijuro, Ao on Mei's side, and Kagura Karatachi, Yugura's younger brother, decided to take all the orphans out of Kiri, where there were 3 4-year-old children from the Yuki clan, withdrawing from the village hidden in the mist, meeting on the way Udakata, Jinchuriki of the Rakupi, the six-tailed slug, along with his girlfriend and apprentice Hadaru, who had to join the group for their own safety. The group had their destiny, the land of the wave, because even though they were not 100% on the side of the Uzumakis and other Konoha shinobi, they would find safety among them. Sonagakure and Suna, the Sabaku brothers who had returned after the Uchiha incident, found out what had happened and were furious. They wanted to make Konoha pay, although all they heard were rumors. Jiraiya at Naruto's request sent them a scroll with what had happened. Gaara was upset, his best friend, his burdened brother, ordered to kill by greedy whims of some guys who just sit around demanding things without fair retribution. Damari was shocked, and seeing what the Nara did, she felt like she could marry him. As for Kankuro, she shared thoughts with her brothers, and regarding the Uchiha, they were surprised by the words when reading that the blonde had forgiven him, although they did not like that they destroyed his bloodline, and subsequently that he be banished. The problem arose in the Suna Council, all knowing the use that the Snake Sannin had given them after the death of Rasa. At first they did not like the manipulation, but it was no reason not to choose a successor. Michio had suggested the Sabaku brothers as Kasakiage, but a problem arose. After Yugura and Kiri, they did not want to cage Jinchuriki, so they decided to choose Baki, sensei of that team, where in all Suna they began to have changes. The man was a younger version of Danzo, ambitious, with his sights on personal needs, rather than those of the village. It was not long before they learned that he made a pact with the old War Eagle similar to that of the other shinobi villages, to hand over the orphans and the Jinchuriki. This did not bother the council at all. They agreed to those terms. The only one who did not agree was Chiyo herself, who with the Sabaku brothers, decided to remove all the orphans from Suna and escaped in the direction of the land of waves, thanks to Jiraiya, who specified the place where they would stop. To the left. The village hidden in the clouds. Upon learning of what had happened in Konoha and mainly the death of the Yondaime, the Raikage, rival of Yellow Lightning, deeply regretted his death. They were not enemies since the end of the last Shinobi War. They considered each other rivals of speed. Ho was a man of honor, one of the few that remained. He always tried to have a peaceful relationship with the other villages, but given the Uzumaki situation, he could not offer asylum to them in Kumo. Minato may have been an enemy in the Third Shinobi War, but out of respect between warriors, added to the sins of the father do not fall on his children, he was determined to protect the children there. The problem, the orders of his daimyo and his council. He could not do anything, so in secret, he ordered his brother, Killer Bee, to look for the boys and tell them the support that his cage would give them. Without knowing that in the future a great revolution would come that would shake the shinobi world. The Megakure. In the Rain Village, the Akatsuki group's base, the news was not long in coming. At first, its members were skeptical about the matter, only believing it would be easier to take action regarding the capture of the Kyuubi's Jinchuriki, but that was not everyone's opinion. Bagato Uzumaki, Kushina's nephew, upon learning of what had happened, tried to remain inflexible on the matter. His plans were to bring peace through pain, but Jiraiya, escaping from the surveillance where they were resting, managed to send a message to a Megakure with his network of spies. This made Nagato put his family on defense and forget his plans to capture the tailed beasts. Konan, she would follow her friend, love interest, so there would be no problem. Itachi Uchiha, renegade from Konoha for massacring his clan, tried not to get carried away by his thoughts, but it was useless. His younger brother banished without his lineage as he was made aware, in addition to being notified that he was told the truth about the situation, only increased the fury with the mummies of the leaf. Obito or Tobi, it was different. At first he wanted to stay out of the plan, but the memories of his former sensei, his teammates, along with the promise that he and Rin would be senseis of his sensei's son, made the renegade Uchiha abandon that dream in pursuit of amending the damage caused by the Kyuubi to the leaf with the legacy of his sensei. Hisam, well, there wouldn't be much to say. His friendship with Itachi was such that wherever he went, he would accompany him, symbolizing their camaraderie, added to the fact that when there were fights, he would never get bored. On the shinobi continent. The daimyos, upon learning that the Konoha council had failed, were enraged but tried to calm things down, since if the barriers of Yuzu were opened with a large contingent of people, this would be perceived, so it was only a matter of time before Yuzu rose again and sent their forces to destroy them. Another thing they decided was to change the teachings of their villages. They incorporated the desire to increase their military forces, but not only with ninjas, but with samurai and soldiers loyal to the nation and the daimyo, beginning to promote nationalism towards the country and not towards the hidden villages, beginning the decline of the shinobi world as such. But Naruto. The blonde boy had finally been able to fall asleep after seeing Sasuke, his best friend, cry. The brunette repeated to himself over and over again, "I'm sorry, Nai-san, come back, I don't hate you," and he remained like that until he fell asleep. Naruto remained there for a few more minutes until he fell deeply asleep. In his dream, Naruto was witnessing the first images he could observe. He saw several men wielding shields and spears, with nothing more than a cape tied around their neck and shoulders, without wearing armor or anything, but their torsos naked, added to a kind of underwear on their private parts with a sheath and sword in it, being led by one of them who reflected imposing, fighting with them head-on in the first line, and not only giving orders, but helping, fighting, and saving others. While in the background he heard a war cry. And that his dream would become dark, where when he tried to see clearly again he would witness several warriors ready to fight, while a blonde man without being able to see his face. Man. Myrmidons, my brothers in arms, I choose to fight with you, and not with thousands of soldiers, so that no one can forget that we are dangerous, we are lions. The soldiers would make noise with their spears that are there, pointing to a beach waiting beyond the beach, immortality behind it is yours. The dream would once again turn into darkness, even its tenant sealed within it didn't know what to say, didn't know what was happening, but it happened again. The blonde man could be seen standing in front of several men on horses while this blonde man spoke to them. Man. Trojans. On my path I always respected a code that is simple. Honor the gods, love your wife, and defend your nation. The horsemen would shout, Troy is the mother of all, fight for her. Once again the mind would play, turning black, as a blonde man was seen watching several soldiers sitting next to boats floating on the beach. Man. We are boys turned into men through sacrifice and the heat of combat. You can turn your backs on us, on me, on your nation. You can leave. I will not judge you. You are free to do so. You are still free men. Several men would begin to stand and nod at the speaker's words. Very well, let's get to work and get those ships out of the bosom of Greece. Today is a privilege to be one of us, a story that will be told for over 1,000 years. May our last stand be etched in history. You must prove that you chose to die all standing rather than living on your knees. Men. Yeah. Naruto's mind would turn black again, but this time next to him was the great nine-tailed fox. Naruto. Kurama, what was that? Naruto. No lo si Kachoro. Voice 1. Maybe I can answer you, appearing alongside two others. Naruto. Who are you? Getting into a hand-to-hand fighting stance to defend the Biju, you won't take Kurama. Voice 2. The great fox is not what we want, but to talk to you, Naruto. Naruto. How do you know my name? Voice 3. We know because you are our reincarnation. Naruto. How? Reincarnation. Voice 1. That's right, kid, you're our reincarnation. Naruto. So what I was seeing is. Voice 2. That's right, fragments of our lives, to help you not fall into what happens. Kurama. Amazing. Naruto. That calms me down, but who are they? Voice 1. I am Achilles, a warrior of the Trojan War on the side of Greece, and one of the greatest warriors in the history of Greece. Naruto. Greece. Achilles. It was a nation in another world. I know I don't understand this reincarnation thing, but it's the decision of the gods, they can give you better information than we can. Naruto. Okay, it's a pleasure to meet you, Achilles-san. Voice 2. I think I'm next. Naruto. Doubt you are not from Greece, your clothes give you away something. Voice. Perceptive boy, and the truth is that I am not Greek, I am from Troy, Prince Hector of Troy. I was known as the horse tamer, and like Achilles, I fought in the Trojan War until he killed me, pointing at Achilles. Naruto. Wow, but. Achilles. Don't let him deceive you. I may have killed him, but even after his death he never held a grudge against me, and I did so also because he killed my cousin Patroclus. Hector. He killed me out of revenge rather than war. Naruto. I understand how you feel, my friend was looking for revenge until he found out the truth about his clan. Achilles. The past is past, and as you cross the river Styx, you are not greeted with hatred, resentment, or bitterness, but as a brother. Naruto. Stygian River. Kurama. Refers to the pure puppy world. Naruto. I understand, and who are you? Voice 3. I guess it's my turn. I'm Paris, Prince of Troy, younger brother of Hector and the one who killed Achilles. Hector. I would say that he caused the Trojan War, but I would be lying, since I spoke with Achilles, Agamemnon would have gone to war with us. Naruto. Brilliant. Voice 4. They are not the only ones, boy. Voice 5. So these introductions aren't over yet. Naruto. Who are they? Voice 4. I am Themistocles of Athens, forgotten hero of the wars against the Persians. Naruto. Forgotten. Voice 5. So they forgot you. Themistocles. The corrupt avaricious men of Athens erased me from the city's historical record and forced me into exile. I ended up in Persia after the last war against them as an advisor to King Artaxerxes IV, successor to Darius III. I died of old age, not in combat like them. Voice 5. I am Leonidas of Sparta, hero of Thermopylae, along with my brave 300 warriors, where we resisted the Persians, being outnumbered 10 to 1, and until the last one fell. Naruto. That's great. Kurama. Surprising, from what I see, the memories we observed were those of you two in the Trojan War, pointing to Hector and Achilles, and yours against the Persians, pointing to Leonidas and Themistocles. Those mentioned. Yes. Naruto. Why me? Themistocles. How? Naruto. Why me, a betrayed, an outcast as they have called me, why did they choose me? Achilles. You have courage, you are noble as well as brave. Leonidas. You have the qualities of a good leader, you care about your people and try to fight alongside them. Hector. You never give up. Paris. You fight for what you believe is right and you don't give in to anyone. Themistocles. You try to be known for yourself and not for who you carry inside, something admirable to see if you ask me. The 5. That's why we chose you to be reincarnated. You represent our best qualities. Naruto. I see, I don't feel worthy of being elected by you. Themistocles. One does not choose what one gets, but one accepts it and tries to overcome it. Leonidas. We don't know what you will do, but we do know that where we have failed, you will succeed and succeed. Achilles. You have these children who look up to you as a hero, older brother, and possibly teacher. You don't want to let them down, and I know that where I failed with my cousin Patroclus, you will succeed. Hector. That's why you'll have our abilities, our memories, since unlike you, we didn't have the chakra to do magic tricks. Leonidas. But from the sweat of our brow and the strength of our body. Paris. That's why we want you to continue our legacy, placing her hand on the blonde. Naruto. And what abilities will I have? Leonidas. The bravery and courage of a Spartan, placing his arm in the blonde. Themistocles. The leadership of an Athenian, repeating the gesture. Achilles. The combat prowess of a Greek, performing the gesture. Hector. The audacity and spirit of Trojan sacrifice, following the others. Paris. Humility, and I know it sounds crazy for me to say this, but you might have a lot of luck with women, repeating the gesture to the amused looks of Achilles and Hector and the disbelief of the others. Hector. You must have inherited those Casanova characteristics from him, just like you did with Helena. Paris. Without a doubt. Leonidas. It seems that the Trojan War was about women. Themistocles. Although Agamemnon's expansionist desire was inevitable. Naruto. I don't know what to say, doubtful. Kurama. Accept, puppy, an opportunity like this will never appear. Naruto. I accept, with eyes filled with conviction. Paris. You will not suffer any changes since you will continue to be you. Hector. Although your personality will become very close to ours. Leonidas. At least not mine, but theirs. Achilles. Go to your clan homelands, there the gods await you. At that the heroes shone and entered Naruto, while the blonde faded, while the blonde looked at himself. Kurama. You're waking up, puppy, good luck. Out of the subconscious. Naruto was just starting to wake up and looking a little taller and more ripped, so he approached a body of water while the others watched. As he got closer, he saw that his baby fat had disappeared from his face. Although he wouldn't admit it out loud, he now thought he was quite childish for a ninja. Shikamaru. What happens, Naruto? Naruto. Nothing to worry about, Shikamaru, but I think it's time for us to continue. We must stop at the wave, and in my case, I will go with my brothers. I need to see the home of my ancestors. Shikamaru. Claro. Iruka. You have matured by force, Naruto. It is something good and bad at the same time, he thought. Sasuke. Sorry for everything, Naruto, he thought. Naruto. I will protect you at all costs, little brothers, he thought. So the group resumed their journey towards their refuge for a while. Chapter 4. Uzushio, Divine Gifts. The group, after waking up from a well-deserved rest, decided to continue their way to Nami. Despite being able to travel at shinobi speed, they could not do so because of some civilians, especially children, who were with them. Given the situation, Naruto decided to ask Jiraiya to send some to explore the surroundings to make sure they were not followed. It was not much, since Yugao, Genma and Guy were the first to probe the area and found several Anbus following them, since several Konoha infantry had abandoned the Leaf Village, which had bothered the high command, since 60% of the infantry had abandoned the village. The Anbus found were at least 20, which the Kenjutsu expert, the Taijutsu master and the other former shinobi could not handle, killing them all. On the way to Nami, Naruto approached Sasuke, who, somewhat mentally broken, did nothing but beg to be killed. What he did was unforgivable. The blonde could only utter simple words. Naruto. I forgive you, team. Sasuke. But why? Naruto. Even if you didn't come back, even if you didn't escape from the village, the order to exterminate the Uzumakis would have arrived. You had nothing to do with it, you were just another disposable tool like everyone else. Sasuke. Thank you. Naruto. Bonds always strengthen us, friend putting his arm on the black man's shoulder never forget it. Jiraiya. Gaki, we must talk. Naruto. It's because of my change, right? Jiraiya. See. Naruto. We'll talk about it later, I don't think this is the time. Jiraiya. I understand. So the group continued for another 2 days of walking toward the Wave Village. During this time, Naruto had already planned what he would do. He would only talk to Sasuke, Jiraiya and Tsunade as he had decided not to go alone, but to take his brothers with him. In the afternoon of the second day of travel, they managed to spot the bridge where Team 7 had bid farewell to their last mission in the area, the Great Naruto Bridge. Thus, they managed to begin crossing the bridge that connected the Land of Waves with the Land of Fire. One by one, the former inhabitants of the Leaf Village arrived, astonishing everyone in the area, especially with the number of infants. This reached the ears of Tazuna, the bridge builder, who, accompanied by his family, went to see what was happening. Tazuna. What's going on? Naruto. Old Tazuna. Inari. Naruto Nai-san running to hug the blonde. Konohamaru and Shiro. Who is the brother? Inari. I am Inari. Naruto. Guys, Inari is like a little brother to you, so you better get along. The mentioned. S.I. Nai-san. Tsunami. How nice to see you, where are the others? Sasuke. You better sit down please. Sasuke and Naruto after seeing that Tsunami and Tazuna sat down, while Inari approached a group of Naruto's brothers, as well as Jiraiya and Tsunade sat down, they began to detail the things that happened in Konoha. Each word made Tsunami sad, while Tazuna's blood boiled upon hearing what happened. As for Inari, he didn't know what to say, his figure of older brother and hero, abandoned and betrayed by the high command. Jiraiya and Tsunade confirmed everything, while saying the death of their parents for defending them. Tazuna. Sorry guys. Tsunami. Poor things. Narrated by Nai-san. Naruto. Sorry to ask for accommodation in this situation, old man, but. Tazuna. No, but nothing, you and yours are welcome here, even he who tried to desert and ignore the ties he had pointing to the emo, that confirms that you will be safe here, and if they threaten us, then let them do it, we already suffered under Geto, we will not suffer another tyrant, the people will know how to defend themselves with your help. Tsunade. Thank you very much. Naruto. I'll be leaving in a week. All? What? Jiraiya. Where are you going now? Naruto. I'm going to see the ruins of Yuzu, I want to see if that village can be enhanced. Jiraiya. It's a very big project, Gaki. Tazuna. But you still tell us so we can help you. Naruto. I appreciate it, besides I won't leave alone, I'll take my brothers from here, I can't see that matter if I'm worried about them, besides even if Inari wants to come, we are a small contingent. Jiraiya. It makes sense, if the Whirlpools defending Yuzu open they would alert the elemental nations, and the Daimyos and some cages would know where you are. Naruto. Cages. Jiraiya. The news of what happened in Konoha spread throughout the continent, Suna and Iwa until now allied with Konoha, what I do know is that your Jinchuriki friend left Suna. Naruto. That relieves me. Jiraiya. And the one who surprises me that he doesn't sell himself to Konoha is the Reikage, since according to my spies, he wanted to give you asylum in Kumo, but had to desist by order of the daimyo. Naruto. The Reikage is not my father's enemy. Jiraiya. In a way it is, but since the War One was able to find out that both he and your father respected each other a lot, they were even rivals, it is out of respect for that A wanted to give you help. Naruto. I see. Jiraiya. Well, leaving that aside, I want you to accompany me, Godson. Naruto. Yes. They both left the campfire leaving the children to talk as well as the adults and Sasuke. Jiraiya. And what is that you had to tell me in a safe place? Naruto just sighed and recounted what he'd seen 2 nights ago, the fragments of battles, his conversations with Achilles, Leonidas, Hector, Paris, and Themistocles. Jiraiya was surprised and somewhat incredulous, but when he mentioned the gods in Yuzu, all he could think about was the prophecy, understanding that it was necessary for Naruto to go to the ruins of his clan. 1 week later. We can see Naruto accompanied by Shiro, Konohamaru, Inari and Mito, as they boarded a boat heading to the ruins of Uzushio. Among their friends they could see the Sabaku brothers who had joined them 3 days after arriving in Nami. Upon arriving Gaara could not help but hug Naruto in a fraternal way and as a sign of support. The Jinchuriki of the Ichibi at first looked at the Uchiha with annoyance, but Naruto told him what they did to him, the sealed Baijas could not help but laugh, because they had taken away the pride of his clan, his Sharingan, something that Sasuke at this point did not care about. Naruto. Sasuke, Gaara getting both of their attention hold the fort. Sasuke. Count on it, friend. Gaara. Same here, brother. Jiraiya. Gakus take care, be strong, they are watching you from the other side. Tsunami. Take care of yourself son, listen to Naruto if. Inari, yes mom. Tsunade. You better take care of Mito at 4. Loser 4. Hi. Myth. Goodbye Grandma Tsunade. Naruto and Shiro. Adored by Oba-chan. Tsunade. Bye kids, I'm not old. So the five decided to set out to sea in a small sailboat, saying goodbye to their loved ones. Author's note. The size of the boat to use, end of note. Naruto. I won't let anything happen to them. He traces hand seals summoning jutsu. In a cloud of smoke, a small nine-tailed fox appeared. Kurama. Finally outside stretching his legs they hug me and I bite them seeing the little ones. For 3 days they sailed towards the land of whirlpools, where the children played as best they could in the space they had, as well as talking and trying to forget the bad memories. Inari excitedly told about Team 7's mission, making Mito and Konohamaru have stars in their eyes and admire Naruto even more, who just laughed as he steered the ship in the direction Kurama dictated. Several voices also called him keep going, the time we meet is approaching, keep your head high and don't despair. By dawn on the 4th day they had reached whirlpools blocking the passage. Shiro. And what are we doing now? Myth. I'm afraid. Konohamaru. Nai-san. Narrated by. Nai-san. Voice. Drop your blood Uzumaki. Naruto. Did you hear it Kurama? Kurama. Yes puppy, do it. Naruto cut his arm to drop blood into the waters which began to move the whirlpools, causing Shiro and Kurama with wind jutsus to make the ship move faster, because if it was open for too long, it would expose Yuzu at the moment. They sailed for a few hours until they reached a beach, making Naruto with a little chakra and walking on the water and pushing the boat so that his brothers could get off the land. Naruto. We arrived. Shiro. It seems so. Naruto. Mito, Konohamaru and Inari, don't leave us alone. The aforementioned nodded as the two eldest began walking through the area, crossing a patch of rather thick yet beautiful forest, the lack of human life allowing nature to advance. The path proved to be pleasant due to the fresh breeze blowing, as well as a sun that radiated with great light as if in joy. The path continued until reaching some ruins, the ancient hidden village of Whirlpools, Uzushio no Sato. Naruto. The misfortunes of war. Kurama. Wars that those greedy people create for power and wealth, cub, only the Uzumakis pleased me in the past of humans. Shiro. Why? Kurama. They were peaceful, they tried to live in peace and harmony among themselves, without disturbing neighboring villages. It was a pity that the Second Shinobi War occurred. Inari. What happened? Kurama. Yuzu and Konoha were allies in the past, but that went further. The Leaf Village's whirlpool, its symbol, belonged to Yuzu, a gift to the Shodaime for his wedding to Mito Uzumaki. It's a shame they insulted that legacy by trying to kill them. Konohamaru. Those who destroyed the village. Kurama. Kiri Iwa and Kumo, that's what the official story says and what they made everyone believe. All. Is there more? Kurama. Yes, puppy, one that not even the Sannin nor his parents knew, only the Sandaime Hokage. Konohamaru. Where are you? Kurama. Yes, pup, and believe me when I tell you that man was just as thirsty for power in his youth as Danzo is today. Naruto. What happened? Kurama. The Sandaime sold Yuzu at the end of the war. He believed that since your mother would be sent here, they could use her as an incubator and as a key to access the Uzumaki fortune. That is why he agreed with Inoki to deliver the seals that would deactivate the village barriers, which were the same as those in Konoha. Naruto. Damn, all that benevolence that was shown clenching his fists wanted to sacrifice itself by sealing you in my. Kurama. He wanted his actions not to haunt him, and the Leaf Village's weapon is more manipulable than your mother's. He made Danzo divulge your birth location to Obito Uchiha, a survivor of your father's genin team. He unknowingly did the Sandaime's bidding, and from what I see, it's likely that he'll join you in the future. Konohamaru. I only have one last name, and it is Uzumaki. Kushina Oka-san gave me her blood with a seal, so I renounce my last name Sarutobi. Kurama. The seal Kushina used on you also contained Minato's blood, so you could say you're in Uzumaki Namikaze as well. Naruto. Okay, let's find a place to sleep so we can find the Uzukage Tower in the morning. All. Hi. This is how they sought to settle the house with the least possible damage. The cabin was neither very big nor very small, it could be considered a home, but for the moment it was a refuge. Naruto. Rest, I'll be awake a little longer. So after eating something the children decided to sleep in the cabin while Naruto tried to be alert for any situation. In the middle of the night, Naruto began to hear voices. Voice 1. Follow the voice. Voice 2. Go to the Uzukage Tower. Naruto. Kurama. The fox was asleep with a blob of mucus coming out of his nose, so he just grabbed a kunai and left the hut in the direction the voices were guiding him. His way was fairly quick as it wasn't far from the Uzukage Tower. Upon arriving, he saw several seals that needed blood applied to them in order to proceed and continue, so Naruto decided to bite his thumb and put his blood on the seal, causing a hidden door to open, which gave access to the vault with the Uzumakis' wealth and jutsus, but several people were waiting for him there. Voice 1. We have been waiting for you Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki said the first voice which was female. Voice 2. Surely they have told you who we can be, a male voice sounded. Naruto. The god surprised as he proceeded to bow. Voice 3. There is no need for that formality, even if the gods that correspond to them have abandoned them, said another female voice. Voice 4. We can be of help and guidance against the erroneous lifestyle that the Atsutsukas preached in these lands, a male voice spoke. Naruto. Who would be Atsutsukas? Voice 5. For you should know them as the rabbit goddess Kaguya, said a female voice, as well as her children, of which one is venerated as god by humans. Surely you have heard of the sage of the six paths. Naruto. The creator of the Biju and the mother of chakra. Voice 1. You should not be afraid of giving up using or possessing chakra, because it is not what bothers us, but the use of it. Voice 2. The influences of the gods of war, Ares, Morrigan and Susanoo, who are the most wrathful and prone to nonsense, have greatly influenced their visits after their deaths, generating much more war, death and desolation. Break. Morrigan. Celtic god of war, it was said that she transformed into a raven after each battle to devour the flesh of the fallen. Keep the buck up. Naruto. I see, it's not that they are enemies, but idiots who lose their way. Voice 3. That's right, they took the place of gods who neglected their domains. Voice 4. These lands are owned by Amaterasu, but she cannot do all the work herself when her other peers do not help maintain her domains, which is why she had to give up the lands. Voice 5. That's why we Olympians wanted to intervene, but to do so we needed a champion. Voice 1. And you, Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki, are our champion. Naruto. But why me, a useless, a demon child, a renegade, a betrayed, a weakling? Voice 2. Don't feel sorry for yourself. Voice 3. You have been chosen because you have the characteristics of several demigods and heroes that our pantheon has had. Voice 4. And for that reason, we have given 5 of them the option of reincarnating in you, without them knowing, since reincarnations are guided by the gods. Voice 5. That's why you're our champion, so tell me boy, do you accept this? Naruto meditated on those words for a moment and responded full of conviction, remembering Kurama's words in these situations. Naruto. I accept, I hope to be worthy and live up to your expectations. Voice 1. You will not disappoint us Naruto, that is why we chose you, you never give up, thanks to the Athena, goddess of wisdom and war, goddess of strategy, prudence and craftsmanship, grant you the necessary wisdom, the strategic ability in battle, and the artisan skill, placing an arm on his left shoulder. Naruto. I will not disappoint her, goddess Athena, revering her, while an owl tattoo was reflected on his left arm. Voice 2. Your modesty, bravery and nobility, as well as your good humor, make you very similar to me, that is why I Apollo, god of the sun, light, truth, prophecy, archery, medicine, music, arts and poetry, make you my champion. Your skill with the bow is only surpassed by me or my sister, my healing ability, you will have knowledge of every disease and how to treat it, you will be able to cure every ailment with your music using my domains. Thus every instrument you have in your hand you will know how to use, in addition to having a bit of foresight of the future. Bumping fists with Naruto in a sign of confidence. Naruto. Thank you Apollo, while a sun was marked in the center of his chest. Apollo. Also, with this I will consider you as my little brother, so here handing over a bow and a quiver of arrows, they will protect you from a distance, and this one handing over a lyre will delight all who hear it. Naruto. Thank you Apollo Nai-sama, causing a smile on the god successor of Helios. Voice 3. I continue with a small tick in the eye. I Artemis, goddess of the moon, maidens, births, hunting wild animals, as you are not like other men, greedy, corrupt, pigs and proud that I have known, you prove the opposite, you are noble, protective, and you recognize even when a woman is stronger than you. I recognize you as my champion and that of Olympus, so you will be able to understand and speak with wild animals. As well as being agile in hunting and knowing how to hide in stealth missions and the like, giving him a kiss on the cheek, making Naruto blush, and making Apollo do a haiku. Naruto. I consider it an honor, Miss Artemis, smiling. I hope you can consider me as Apollo does, while on his back appeared an arrow tattoo. Artemis. As long as you don't let me advise you and your compositions aren't bad, I have no problem with you being like a demigod brother, since as a champion you are considered a demigod. Oh, and make your brothers follow the path they follow, and maybe some of them will have abilities like yours from me. Plus, this will protect you. Its blade will turn blue when someone wants to harm you, handing over a long hunting knife. Voice 4. I follow, I Hermes, god of messengers, commerce, travelers, jokes and ascents, liars, thieves, for your exploits, since I am surprised by your mega joke in the Anbu headquarters at 6 and at 7 painting the Hokage monument in broad daylight without getting caught, deserves a prize. Ruffling the blonde's hair, I give you mastery over your speed, you will be faster than the Horatian with similar seals that you place without having to paint them. Your essence will mark those around you, and you will be able to protect those who appreciate you. You will be a very good alchemist from my knowledge, as well as a manipulator of money, although it is not necessary, since I know luck. Uzumaki, little brother, everyone sees it, what? If Apollo does it, why can't I? Naruto. Thanks and haha, I'm ashamed and proud of that joke. Voice 5. I am still young, I Hestia as goddess of the hearth, family, and the fire that provides the love of home, I make you my champion and that of Olympus, as older sister of the 6 Olympians, my blessings for you is that you can find the love of a family and you can be there for them, regardless of whether you are king, daimyo, kage, soldier, shinobi or ordinary citizen, that will help you to never leave her aside, protect her and love her equally. Also my gift is that those who are orphans and come to you feel the warmth of home, since you are capable of changing others and loving infants like an older brother, since you guide them. I know that as a shinobi you have been in the orphanage following orders, but they and you have become fond of each other like brothers, that is why that is my gift. Also hugging the boy, seeing your seal, it's time for your friend to be free without fear that if you release him, he'll kill you. Changing the seal with this, both of you will share thoughts, but it will no longer be necessary for him to return to your interior. Naruto. Thank you very much. A fire manifested in his abdomen. Athena. Before we leave, another god will come to give you his blessing, but being interrupted. Voice. They will not leave without my blessing to the champion, spoken imposing male voice. Naruto, what domains do you have, sir? He asked respectfully. Voice. I like you, I am Hephaestus, god of the forge, volcanoes, metallurgy, architecture, sculpture and fire, and as such my domain that I give you to use wisely is the forge. You will know how to forge any weapon, sculpture or building. Everyone has hopes in you, champion, that is why we will observe you. This is an iris portal showing a brightly colored scroll with it, you can ask any of us for advice. Naruto. Thank you Lord Hephaestus. While a mace was marked on his right arm. Athena. As I was saying, another god will give you his blessing, but that will happen when he considers you are ready. Naruto. Okay. Apollo. Plus, we brought a friend who'll help you train until dawn. Hephaestus. I designed this room so you can get stronger, because outside of it, only 10 minutes have passed, so now train. Apollo. Let me introduce you to him. He is Callisto. You probably remember him as the son of a friend of Themistocles. Callisto. Nice to meet you, kid. I hope you can be as great as him. Apollo. I spoke with Hades so you can stay here as long as you deem necessary until dawn, teach him the basics of Greek fighting styles. Callisto. I will do so, bowing. Athena. We're leaving now, boy. Apollo. Take care. Hermes. Repeat your joke. Artemis. Make more like you. Hestia. Take care of your family. Hephaestus. Before I leave, I will give you this using his domain. Uzu began to tremble as the cabin changed its appearance and on the island the rubble disappeared and what was once a ruined city was changed into a Greek city. The Uzukage Tower became an agora, resembling the Pantheon in Athens, large and beautiful, with sculptures of the Olympian gods and beautiful gardens. Naruto. What was that? Hephaestus. A gift from me, Uzushiogakure rebuilt. Naruto. Thank you. Hephaestus. Take care. After that the gods left the area, leaving Naruto and Callisto. Naruto. It's time, let's train Master Callisto. Callisto. Okay. Chapter 5. Training. The beginning of Yuzu's rebirth. Callisto. It's time for us to train. Naruto. Of course, Master. Callisto. The first lesson I'll give you is one my father left me, I'm sure you know it from your memories of Themistocles. Naruto. I will gladly accept it. Callisto. My father used to say, a man's responsibility is to take care of his family and his nation. Naruto. Wow, that's very wise. Callisto. I know. Okay, stand up. We'll start getting physical. I want you to do 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and you'll run for a while. Then, we'll train in the Greek hand-to-hand combat style. Finally, you'll train with weapons. The sword, the shield, the spear, and, if you like, the bow. Naruto. Well, in that case I know how I can speed up the first thing. Callisto. Accelerate. Naruto. Yes. Callisto. And how will you do it? Naruto. Ketten. Cage Bunshin tracing the hand seals and letting a little blood fall. Callisto. Surprising seeing that there were 15 Narutos counting the original. Thus Naruto would begin with a physical routine, since the advantage of the blood clone as opposed to the normal shadow clone was that it could transmit everything learned in physical form to the original, while the shadow clone only transmitted knowledge and experience if it was referred to the theoretical and chakra. In normal times, Naruto spent 4 hours, translated to what in the room by the power of Hephaestus would have spent 4 months, doing physical routines, while each time a clone finished Naruto vanished it while feeling a slight pain from the expansion of his muscle mass and the growth of his body. Callisto. It looks like you're ready looking at Naruto. Naruto. Yes, but I have a problem seeing his tight clothes, my clothes don't fit me. Callisto. For a ninja, you wore too much orange. Naruto. It was all I could afford, since even with my father by my side, they charged me overpriced prices for everything. Being a Jinchuriki isn't easy, they seal a biju inside you, you're a potential weapon, but the people's hatred falls on you, no matter how much you protect them, they always saw the nine tails instead of me, saving a few. Callisto. Maybe these clothes will work for you. Naruto. Thanks, I'll go change. 15-minute time skip. Naruto was already entering the area wearing the outfit that Callisto had given him. Naruto. I feel like if a woman sees me she'll grape me. Callisto. Only women who love and appreciate you will be there for you. Naruto. We don't wear armor like I thought. Callisto. Yes, we used it, except for the Spartans and the Athenians in the war against the Persians. Don't ask why, since I only followed the orders of my father and Themistocles. Naruto. Good. Callisto. Here, handing over a sword, use it well but not now. Naruto. Pretty, taking it out of its sheath, it's a bit heavy, but not too much for me. Callisto. A Greek can use it with both hands, or with one, it is best that you use it with one and forget the kinjutsu that you use. Naruto. I wasn't a big fan of swords, but oh well. Callisto. You will use this one to train giving a wooden sword, and you will also use the shield to defend yourself on the arm you are not using. Naruto. Good. Callisto. But first, hand-to-hand combat. Thus, 2 more real hours passed where Callisto taught him how to fight with his body, indicating where to hit and how, with how much force and so on. He had even taught him athletics, something necessary for every Greek, making Naruto's body more defined and inflated. For the remaining hour, Callisto proceeded to teach him how to fight with a sword and spear and shield, until he unsheathed his own. Callisto had to admit that Naruto made good use of the memories of his past lives as a Greek, making it much easier for him to progress and learn. Callisto. Well, you have learned very well. Naruto. Thank you, master. Callisto. It's already dawning, starting to fade. Naruto. Thank you, master, I appreciate your teachings, bowing. Callisto. Don't forget every lesson disappearing into thin air. Naruto. I won't do it. At that he would realize something, master, you shouldn't bother. It was a round box with a note in Greek that said, Naruto, use the training suit in combat until you forge your own armor. I'm leaving you a shield with which you can defend yourself, as well as clothes we wore in Athens. Callisto. Naruto. Yes, master. Naruto proceeded to change while thinking about what had happened, so after being ready, he decided to leave the now Agora of Yuzu, the political center of the new state in elemental nations, while 2 statues of warriors protected the entrance with an Athena in the middle, signifying the wisdom of the place. Naruto. Well, it's dawn, I'll go get my brothers, or better yet, get something to eat. In the cabin. The first to wake up was the 9-tailed fox. The fox sensed something was wrong from the moment he started waking up, so he decided to do the most reasonable thing anyone would do. Go back to sleep. The next to wake up was Shiro, who, not seeing his brother, grabbed a kunai and left the cabin. Myth. Nai-chan, where is Nai-sama? Asked the sleepy younger Ritiid. Shiro. I don't know, Mito-chan, rest. Myth. But I'm hungry, pouting. Shiro. Me too, but we have to find Nai-san to go hunting. Myth. No, I want ramen. Hanohamaru. Me too. Inari. Something to eat wouldn't be bad. Kurama. Shut up and let your neighbors sleep. Naruto began to arrive carrying a deer on his back while showing his new appearance. His hair grew a little more while he left the animal on the ground while sheathing Artemis's gift. Naruto. Wow, they woke up. Shiro. Who are you? Naruto. Atauto, but what question is that? Shiro. Nor Nai-san. Naruto. Of course it's me. Shiro. But what happened to you? Kurama. So the gods called you Higaki. Well, present. The gods. Naruto. Yes, Kurama. Kurama. Who were they? Naruto. Hephaestus, god of the forge. Apollo, god of the sun. Artemis, goddess of the moon. Athena, goddess of war and wisdom. Hermes, god of commerce and messengers. Hestia, goddess of the hearth. Kurama. Wow, I didn't expect that. Shiro. And what did they do? Naruto. This was given to me by Artemis, since her domain is hunting, showing the knife. Kurama. Celestial bronze, I heard of that metal a long time ago, but I've never seen it. Hanohamaru. It's great. Naruto. Also, Kurama, Hestia made it so you didn't need to return to the seal, you're somewhat free, we only share mental space for dialogues and such. Kurama. Wow. Naruto. You should also see this. Inari. What's that? Pointing to a colossus in front of the beach and a port. They all went to see the cliff from where they were seeing a 40-meter-high colossus symbolizing the god of the sun and successor of the titan Helios, Apollo, while below him the entrance to the ports of Yuzu could be seen. Naruto. It's a gift from the gods, Yuzu rebuilt. Hanohamaru. Great. Inari. It's amazing. Shiro. Who is the one with the statue? Naruto. Apollo, god of the sun, and along with Artemis, Hermes and Athena the protectors and patrons of Uzushio no Sato. Kurama. Cub, I recommend that you tell them to send the others little by little. Naruto. Yes, tracing hand seals Kuchius no jutsu. A burst of smoke appeared from which an orange toad emerged. Shiro. It's Gamakichi. Naruto. Hello. Gamakichi. Naruto, it's you. The summoning kingdoms are in turmoil over what happened. Several are cancelling their contracts for supporting the deaths of the Uzumakis. Naruto. Interesting, but that's not the point. Seriously, you should go with Uraya and start sending contingents of 10 here. They should be that amount so as not to attract attention. Gamakichi. And that would be everyone who would be there, right? Naruto. Yes, including the inhabitants of Nami. Gamakichi. Okay, I'll come as soon as I can. Gamakichi would disappear in a puff. Naruto. Okay guys, I have a gift of clothes for you, so you can change, take advantage while I cook the meat. All. Hi, taking the clothes. And Nami. Things haven't been going very well since they found out they were there. Numerous groups of shinobi from various villages wanted to kill the Uzumakis, but the people themselves wouldn't let them pass. This happened in less than 3 days since the brothers left. Another important event was the arrival of Kuritsuchi with her orphans from Iowa, who commented on the situation. Although Jiraiya didn't take it very seriously, he let them join, since the mere mention of Danzo made them let her pass and comment on everything. Sasuke. Gaara, this is getting complicated. If more join in, supplies will become scarce. Gaara. That's a problem looking at Mei Terumi and Yukura. Tsunade. What happened to them? Gaara. Is that 3? Jiraiya. Yes, Gaara. Igura. Lady Tsunade of the Sannin. Weren't you caged in Konoha? Tsunade. You said it was, since for defending. Mei. You supported the children of those two, right? Tsunade. Yes. Igura. What's up? Gaara. It turns out that 9 is being hunted for being Uzumaki. Igura. I see. Mei. And what will we do? In Kiri we were exiled because of the war, despite discovering that someone manipulated us. The daimyo did his thing to get us out, him for Jinchuriki and me for keeping my village. Jiraiya. Is it because of Danzo? Mei, Yugura and Chijuro. Yes. Jiraiya. We only have Mifune left in the land of iron, Koyuki in spring, the daimyo of the land of birds, and Haruna of the land of vegetables. Igura. Do they support them? Tsunade. Without the daimyos warning us we wouldn't have saved them, and Mifune is a reader of Icha, and that meeting didn't happen. Jiraiya. You see Tsunade, my books work wonders. Tsunade. Yes, almost putting Nadeshiko in the meeting. Jiraiya. I made it so that Shizuka's daughter could marry the Gaki. Igura. That's admirable. Surprised. Mei. It's no problem for us to stay, right? Tsunade. There aren't many resources for the number of us, but stay. The ex-Kiri. We appreciate it. So 2 days passed, the 2 days that the boys were in Yuzu, everything was going well. They did the same routines. Mei decided to join the scouts with Yugao, while Chijuro joined the other genin and boys his age, who had started training following all of Naruto's routines in the past, as well as helping the others learn. Kuritsuchi had been placed with Team 9 since 1010 was nice when talking about how Kunoichis are looked down on by fangirls and other things, which made the boys in the group uncomfortable. Jiraiya. It's been almost 7 days since they left. Tsunade. Yes, I'm worried. And that would appear a poof showing an orange toad. Jiraiya. Gamakichi, what happened? Where are the Gakas? Is everything okay? Gamakichi. Yes, they are already in Yuzu, and Naruto said that the gods have lifted it, making Jiraiya surprised and Tsunade raise an eyebrow, and they are sending 10 boats to Yuzu, with a day's difference between them. Jiraiya. Well done Gakas. So they set about sorting out who would go. First up was Shikamaru, accompanied by 9 orphans, followed by Kiba and another group. In Yuzu. Naruto was preparing the meat on the fire, seasoning it with the provisions he had left over from the boat, while his little brothers and sister approached wearing the new clothes. Naruto. It suits them very well, doesn't Konohamaru? Konohamaru. I feel weird dressing like this, but that doesn't mean I don't look great. Shiro. Nice, and how do I look? Naruto. As my brother and successor in knowledge he. Myth. Nice-sama and I. Naruto. You look like mom, very beautiful Emoto-chan. Myth. Yi. Inari. I feel different. Note. Use the clothes as a model, I know it's Pegasus Tenma. Naruto. A true warrior. Well, it's time to eat. All. I did Akamasu. Kurama. That's good meat. So they proceeded to eat what he had, thanking the gods in the way that Naruto indicated, since part of the knowledge given by Athena was the ways to pay respect to the gods. After eating, Naruto proceeded to look for the Uzumaki armory, finding it effortlessly since it was one of the few intact buildings and that Hephaestus did not touch, taking out a large quantity of kunai and shuriken while repairing a nearby smelting pot in order to put his delivered skills into practice. One of the things he would do is arrow, since the ones in his quiver would not last forever, so if he even wanted to teach the others he would have to make more. He also prepared an anvil that was nearby, along with several rocks that he began to modify to give them the shape to use in the mold. Inari. Naruto Nai, what are you doing? Naruto. Melting weapons we don't need. Shiro. But what will we do to defend the village? Konohamaru. Without ninjas. Naruto. Uzushio will not be a shinobi village like the others, not even a samurai one, it will be the cradle of the best warriors these lands have ever seen, we will differentiate ourselves from the rest. Shiro. Warriors. Naruto. Yes, we will forge the best warriors this world has ever seen, their feats will be such that people in the future will see us as demigods. Konohamaru. And how will we do it? Naruto. The most important thing is that each warrior will defend the other because our story will be told for more than 1,000 years. Shiro. And Danzo. Naruto. He will fall if he sets foot on these lands, as will all the daimyos who dare to face us, and if we fall, the fury of the gods who protect us will spread to whoever kills us. Inari and Konohamaru. Incredibly with stars in their eyes for such a speech for them. Shiro. Count me in, brother. Myth. And with me Nai-sama. Naruto. In that case, here giving you a bow I will teach you how to use it. All four. Thank you Naruto Nai-san Nai-sama. 4 days later. Naruto was training the four of them in the use of the bow, even in his free time he forged a sword for each of them, along with a small shield. Naruto. Put the arrow on the bow and aim at the center of the target. Shiro. Hi. Naruto. Don't be nervous, it's like throwing kunai and shuriken. Shiro. Relax. Naruto. Breathe taking Shiro's arm while the indicated one did as requested exhale and release. Shiro did as requested and the result was hitting the center of the target. Shiro. I did it. Naruto. Yes you did. Inari. That was amazing. Konohamaru. Also, if a girl other than Mito ni saw us wearing these clothes, it would be very embarrassing. Author's note. They dress like the suit above, end of note. Naruto. Until the armor is ready, this is what we have. All three. Good. Myth. Brothers come see this. The four would approach Mito while watching the whirlpools open and close in the distance. Shiro. The first litter. Naruto. If my calculations are correct, they will arrive every day, so let's go to the beach to welcome them. All. Yes. At sea. Shikamaru. Stay calm. Boy. That's it, we'll arrive safe and sound, stay calm, Naruto Nai-sama will give us a new life. Girl. What is that? Looking at the Apollo that was seen in the distance. Shikamaru. Troublesome blonde smiling. They all continued their journey as they got closer to the Colossus, noticing several statues nearby, including one near the pier, while the Agora could be seen in the distance. Shikamaru. Tie the ropes. Can we help them? Shikamaru. Troublesome blonde smiles. All. Naruto Nai-sama. Shikamaru. What clothes are you wearing? Noticing what he was wearing. Naruto. Oh, it's a new wardrobe, we found this here and we'll use it and until we finish the armor, it will be Yuzu's combat uniform. Shikamaru. Troublesome. Naruto. Some changes outside. Shikamaru. Yes, the three-tailed Jinchuriki with his brother, the rebel leader of Kiri, and 2 more orphan ninjas joined, and Inoki's granddaughter. Naruto. Kuretsuchi. Shikamaru nods how troublesome. Shikamaru. I'd charge you royalties, but it's a lot of work. Back to top, what do you have with her? Naruto. There was a possible marriage agreement between her and me, but it's a good thing dad didn't accept it since it was strange for Inoki to send that proposal. Shikamaru. She is there, she said that even Inoki would hand her over as a Kekkei Genkai user to replicate it more, and since the Kunoichi did not want to, she took the orphans from Iwa and arrived 2 days after her departure to Nami. Naruto. What else happened? Shikamaru. Kumo wanted to give them asylum, but due to pressure from the daimyo he couldn't do anything, but you should be glad that the Reikage supports you, along with Nadeshiko. Naruto. The Kunoichi village. Shikamaru. Yes, and the arrangement is very troublesome. Naruto. What did Hirosenin do now? Shikamaru. He was tied with the current leader in the past, and they agreed that his daughter would face his student, if you beat her she will be your fiancé. Naruto. Oh no, that will never happen. Shikamaru. It's because of Hinata, right? Naruto. Yes. Shikamaru. You're the clan leader, you know. Naruto would nod and is a living male member of a clan about to disappear. Naruto. Don't tell me I have to enter the Kra. Shikamaru. Yes. Naruto. By Hades. After that, they headed to the zones to get started, while Naruto took Shikamaru to the Agora to begin talking to him about the changes they would make to Yuzu, something the Nar reluctantly agreed to. The other rivals were assigned to the zones of Yuzu, according to what they wanted to do, while Shikamaru went with Naruto to forge while being amazed by the blonde's new abilities. The next morning, Shikamaru had put on a typical Greek outfit or well Uzushio. Shikamaru. This is very troublesome, blushing a little. Author's note. This is what I get in pictures. Naruto. It's not that bad. Shikamaru. Says the blonde who practically walks around in his underwear. Naruto. Like a warrior of Yuzu, he said proudly. In the distance, a ship could be seen arriving with Kiba at the front. Chapter 6. The new Yuzu. Kiba was seen arriving at the island. At the moment. Shikamaru. I feel ridiculous. Naruto. You look good, friend. Shikamaru. If you say so. Kiba approached little by little with the boat and those who accompanied him, while Naruto extended his hand to help him. Kiba. Nah, Naruto. Surprised you've changed. Naruto. Yes, they tell me that often. One by one, the orphans came down. This time, they were from Iowa, and they were suspicious, as their teaching was to distrust Konoha above all, but especially the yellow lightning or anything related to it. The blonde noticed their distrust, so he reached out to each of them to help them. Naruto. Welcome to Uzushio no Sato, the new Whirlpool village and capital of the land of Whirlpools. Orphan. I appreciate your hospitality being courteous. Naruto. Come on, we are with trustworthy people here, in the long run you will be living to be safe in these lands, besides I am not my father, and you are not Inoki to have that hatred and that suspicion for a war that the cages themselves created. After those words, many calmed down as Naruto led them to the areas where they would be staying. Along the way, Kiba saw the armory and was struck by how those who had arrived earlier were taking out their weapons. Kiba. What are they doing to the armory? Naruto. We will melt the weapons, so we can make others. Kiba. But what kind of life will we have? Shikamaru. I asked him that very thing. Naruto. The shinobi life saves us from this, which is why New Yuzu will not be a ninja village. We will forge the best warriors this land has ever seen, not ninjas and not samurai either. Kiba. I don't understand your idea, but knowing you, I know you'll know how to surprise. Naruto. Yes, Shikamaru, can you carry it? Shikamaru. Yes. Naruto. Thank you, I have to see my brothers. Kiba. Next up is Hinata who's coming. Naruto. Thanks for letting us know. Naruto then retired with his brothers, who were training at the Yuzu shooting range. Konohamaru. Breathes, tensing the bow with his inspiration, exhales, releasing the arrow with the air. The arrow hit near the center of the target. Inari. Good shot, smiling, while drawing the bow, aims at the center, inhales and releases. The arrow hit the side of the target. Naruto. I thought I was teaching them not to compete because that would make them arrogant and lead to their deaths. Myth. Oni-sama hugging the blonde. Shiro. Brother running with the bow, look, aiming at the target. Shiro running, pointed the bow at the target and released the arrow, sticking it in the middle. Naruto. Impressive, smiling. Congratulations were not going to be given as there were several sounds of neighing and hooves on the ground. Inari. What is that? Naruto. Perhaps they are heading to the place. Shiro. Wait. Konohamaru. Let's go. Myth. I want to see. Inari. Don't leave me alone. The five headed to a very beautiful meadow-like area, full of greenery, but with four-legged animals grazing in it. Inari. What are those? Konohamaru. They are beautiful. Naruto. Those are horses. Shiro. What will we do? Naruto. Come on. The five would begin to approach the herd, which was grazing very peacefully, while the blonde approached the one who seemed to be the leader of the same, who only began to observe him, while he let the young Uzumaki touch his mane, while making the gesture for Naruto to get on, which the blonde understood. Luckily for Naruto, the horse let him get on while his brothers watched in detail. Naruto. Calm down, I won't do anything to you, stroking the mane while he was on the horse. Shiro. Nice, and that was amazing. Konohamaru. Yes. Inari. Surprising. Naruto. Let's go, making the horse move while the herd of about 35 horses moved with them. Myth. Where will we take them? Naruto. To the stables. On the way, the orphans watched Naruto riding the animal in surprise, while Kiba and Shikamaru joined in. Naruto. Shiro opens the gate. Shiro did as requested while Naruto got off the animal and guided it, placing it in one of the cells capable of holding 2 horses comfortably. Naruto. Kiba, Shikamaru, place the others in the stables you see free. So the 7 began placing the animals in the pens. The advantage was that by letting them free, they would be in a fenced meadow behind them, allowing them to have relative freedom. After these activities, they considered it appropriate to go to the training camp, where Naruto gave each of the children a wooden sword and began their instruction. The current 18 orphans, plus Naruto's 3 siblings since Mito was still too young to learn, performed the movements Naruto told them, something that surprised the 2 shinobi. Time skipped to the next day. Hinata was approaching with the amount assigned to her while she looked at the beach, locating Naruto, Kiba, and Shikamaru. The pearl-eyed girl blushed upon seeing Naruto, but dispelled those thoughts when she saw how the orphans who accompanied her prepared the boat's moorings. Naruto. Hina-chan extending his hand. Hinata. Naruto-kun reciprocating the gesture, to be greeted by a hug from the blonde. Naruto. I'm glad you're okay, sticking the girl to his naked torso. Hinata. I don't remember Naruto-kun dressing like that and being so muscular, she thought, blushing. Kiba. So you finally stopped being blind to her, huh? He thought amusedly. Hinata. You can let me go now. Naruto. No, it's that me trying to say something because of his nerves, he could be in front of the deities and not in front of a girl to hell planting a kiss on his lips. Hinata. Naruto-kun read. Naruto. I like you, since the academy, a life without you by my side, even though as a clan leader I have to have several wives, would not be a life. Shikamaru. We left Romeo retreating with Kiba and the arrivals. Hinata. Naruto-kun, I like you too, but I expected that thing about the handcuffs. Naruto. I'm sorry to tell you this, but there's something about you that makes me fall madly in love, but with what happened. Hinata. SHHH covering her mouth with her fingers. Don't worry, even if I'm not the main wife, my condition is that you have your firstborn with me, kissing the blonde. Naruto would only reciprocate the hug as the blizzard lifted the cloak. Naruto. Hina-chan, would you be? Hinata. Yes. They would both repeat the kiss while the moon shone brightly. Naruto. I need to give notice of something, since this pace is slow. Drawing hand seals Kuchius no Jutsu summoning Gamakichi. Gamakichi. Naruto, what can I do for you? Naruto. I want you to tell Iro Sennin to expand the shipments, every day at least 3 boats leave. Gamakichi. Hi, disappearing into a poof. Hinata. What's wrong? Naruto. Nothing, just a bad feeling. Time began to pass where the newcomers were catching up with the situation. One of the many measures Naruto took was the teaching of athletics and hand-to-hand fighting styles for everyone, where he uniformized and tried to combine the styles of Goken and Juken into a single style. Another measure he took was to implement swordsmanship classes, thanks to the fact that through the Iris portal, he requested to the gods that Callisto could be in Yuzu until he trained the first warriors who would defend Yuzu, being accepted by the gods and by the aforementioned. Naruto, although these measures were fine with him, decided to be more ambitious, deciding to open horse riding classes to be able to form a cavalry branch in the village, while he taught groups who wanted to use the bow. Shikamaru and Kiba must have gotten into training in these fighting arts, since Naruto loudly stated that Yuzu would not be a village of shinobis, not even samurais, but of warriors. Regarding the situation in Nami, the priority was to evacuate the orphans, so he would send the 3 boats with only 1 ninja, since the raids were frequent and ended with some dead, as was the case of Ibiki defending the little Yuki, children who by bloodline had to leave on the next boats, accompanying Niji Hyuga. 6 months later. The situation in Nami was getting better and better, since with the departure of the orphans, only the most experienced shinobi remained, mostly Jounins plus the Sannin, Yugura and Mei. With this situation the incursions ceased while the bloodlines could never be obtained, they had only deaths in defense, or by arriving late, some orphans were killed, especially those from Iwa, along with Izumo and Katetsu, who died fighting as they could from the Anbus roots. Sasuke was one of those left behind since after losing his Sharingan, he had learned to rely on his effort and hard work, learning a lot from Lee, after having made up for many of his past sins with a team that was in his recovery in the past. The one who cost the most was Gaara, but little by little, he regained his confidence. A hard blow for everyone was seeing the leader of one of the skirmishes, Sakura Haruno, a rude Anbu in direct service to Danzo. Sasuke. So you turned your back on your team. Sakura. No, you're wrong, you turned your backs on Konoha and the Daimyo, the demon had to die, and we should take the Uzumaki fortune. Sasuke. Don't you listen to yourself when you talk. You were talking about taking the lives of 3 infants, even if you were only going against Naruto. Sakura. Don't act innocent, that you deserted for power and revenge, you are not a saint. Sasuke. I know very well that I am not Sakura, to this day that sin haunts me, and despite that Naruto forgave me. Sakura. Sasuke-kun brainwashed you, it's time for you to see the truth and return to my side. Sasuke. I can't believe I thought you were a good catch taking out a katana. I'm not going back. Sakura. I wanted to appeal to the good, but it won't be possible. Attack. A large troop of first-generation soldiers ordered by the daimyo, along with samurai and Anbus, launched an attack. Author's note. The armor is like that of Lupu's army. Sasuke. Forgive me, dope. A flock of crows appeared along with sheets of paper in the air, clouding the view of the force. Sasuke. Nai-san seeing his emo brother and his shark companion accompanied by a pink-haired woman and a very scruffy redeed with several orange-haired men around him, the last one like the orange-haired ones with spiral purple eyes. Itachi. Here I am, Ataudo. Sasuke. Nai-san taking a hit I deserved it. Itachi. I know everything. Sasuke. Even though I redeemed what I could and lost my eyes. Itachi. Not the last one but the rest yes. Nagato. Go away. Konan. What will you do? Jiraiya. Nagato. Konan. Sensei. Nagato. Time has passed, sensei, and I know I have many sins, but if I know one thing, it's that no one messes with the Uzumakis and their allies. Konan. We must board the boats. Everyone did as advised while a scream was heard in the distance. Nagato. Shinra Tensei. An explosion knocked out most of the enemy. The devastation was so great that even Nami was injured, but fortunately, the inhabitants had decided to leave the area for Yuzu. The remaining 10 ships began to sail, while Nagato boarded the last one, while the remnants of the forces could be seen. Only soldiers and samurai, plus Sakura, had survived. The problem now was that if the whirlpools opened due to their numbers, they could alert the elemental nations, but the risk had been taken. The 4-day journey was relatively peaceful until they spotted the whirlpools. Fortunately for Tsunade and Jiraiya, they had already sent word of the situation, so Naruto and the few warriors they had left had decided to defend Yuzu. When they opened, they saw everything they had achieved. The 10 vessels entered while a gigantic 40-meter colossus awaited their arrival at the ports of Yuzu. Current Yuzu data. Current population. 4,000 people. Pure civilians who would not take up arms. 1,000 people. Civilians who would take up arms. 500 people. Military bodies. 2,500 people. Breakdown of forces. Riders. 150 people. Leader Shironamikas Uzumaki. Archers. 300 people. Leaders. Niji Hyuga and Shino Abiram. Spies. 50 people. Leader Shikamaru Nara and future Itachi Uchiha. Amazons. Female body, 500 people. Leaders. Hinata Hyuga and Tenten. Infantry, hoplites as most Greeks are called. 1,500 people. Captain Rock Lee and future Sasuke Uchiha. Patterns. Athena Apollo Artemis Hermes. Elephant Brigade under creation, led by Kiba and Yuzuka. Chapter 7. Revelation to the rest of the shinobi world. The whirlpools had opened, allowing the last envoys from Nami to pass through. Everyone was surprised by what they saw. Without a doubt, the blonde man had surprised them. A gigantic colossus 40 meters tall, marking the sea entrance to the city. At the moment. Jiraiya. Damn Gaki, he commented with a smile. Tsunade. Without a doubt the number 1 meathead ninja and surprising others. His flames of youth burn like 1,000 suns. Lee. You already said it sensei. Kurenai. It's only been 6 months and Yuzu has already raised again. Sasuke. It's definitely the dope smiling. Itachi. He is amazing. Nagato. Amazing smiling for the home village of the Uzumaki clan. Death. I really feel bad about the Kyuubi and Konoha and his life, although the village deserved the destruction of the fox. Konan. Didn't you want his forgiveness? Hobbit. Yeah. The ships continued sailing for a few more hours until they reached the port where they tied up and lowered a wooden ramp for people to disembark. They all descended from the boats while they saw the soldiers of the city of Yuzu, all of them were bare-chested, carrying a metal shield and helmet, some with red mane on them, and apparent underpants with a sheathed sword tied to it, and they finished their attire with a blue or red cape, along with a spear. Jiraiya. Who would have thought that the Gaki would be so cautious? Tsunade. You're right. But they look very young. Lee. Yes, Guy-sensei. Kurenai. But where are they? Sensei. Do-sensei. Riiro Senin, Tsunade Abachan. Dodos. Naruto Hinata Kiba. Kurenai hugged Hinata and Kiba, noticing that she was holding hands with Naruto, as well as everyone noticing Naruto's new appearance. Jiraiya. Gaki hugging Naruto, my godson, I'm glad you're okay. Naruto. Hiro Senin corresponding, I hope you like the place next to Bachan, taking Tsunade and hugging her. Tsunade. Naruto, I'm glad to see you. Jiraiya. It's incredible, but in 6 months. I don't believe this will be restored in that time. Naruto. It was one night and it wasn't me, but a divine gift. Tsunade. So the gods did it? Surprised like the others. Naruto. Yes, it was a gift from Hephaestus, god of the forge, volcanoes, architecture, fire, sculpture and metallurgy, and we have all abandoned the shinobi life as such. What do you mean? Naruto. Yuzu will rise again without being a shinobi village, it will be the cradle of the greatest warriors ever seen. Madara and Hashirama had their chance, now it's the turn of the new Uzumakis. All those who were there as warriors began to shout very loudly. Warriors. Au. 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 As they raised their spears. I and Lee. That was so youthful, their flames of youth burned so brightly. Jiraiya. Amazing what you've done, Gaki. Naruto. The gods have blessed us, and thanks to two ancient warriors, Callisto of Athens and Astinos of Sparta, that helped a lot to form the warriors of Yuzu. Jiraiya. I'm glad to hear that, although it bothers me a little about abandoning the shinobi life. Naruto. You know, since I spoke with the gods, I learned the history of ninshu, or as we call it, ninjutsu. Tsunade. And what have they told you? Naruto. Hagoromo Otsutsuki, as we know him, the Rakuto Sennin, after sealing his mother, Kagaya Otsutsuki, with his brother, Hagoromo, decided to deliver the ninshu to help humanity find peace, but after his death and being venerated by humans as a god, people used it for war. We are different, shinobi use chakra to increase their physical capabilities, while we break the limits of our physique without using chakra. Jiraiya. I see. Naruto. The summons will be here, but we won't use them for battles, but rather for consultations and advice. Tsunade. I don't. Naruto Nai-san. Jiraiya and Tsunade. Konohamaru. Konohamaru. If it's me, I'm glad to see you. Jiraiya. Wow, you are handsome, would you mind laughing pervertedly and taking out a scroll and quill? Naruto then unsheathed a sword and lowered Jiraiya's note scroll. Naruto. No way, leave my brother away from your influences. Tsunade. So brother huh? Naruto. We discovered the truth about Yuzu's fall, and that my mother, since she had custody of him, put a seal on him that changed Sarutobi's blood to Namika's Uzumakis. Tsunade. I see, that's why they wanted to kill him too. Jiraiya. They even asked me to carry their things from the village. Naruto. I see, Konohamaru and the rest of you? Konohamaru. At the shooting range and Shiro with Ino on a date. Naruto. That's my brother. Hinata. And what are you waiting for to get Hanabi Konohamaru out? Konohamaru would blush at the mention of his love interest. Naruto. Haim will tell her, by the way Iro Sennin, what is this about you getting me engaged to an Adashiko Kunoichi? Jiraiya. You already know it, nervous because of Hinata and Tsunade's intense gaze, but Jiraiya felt a third gaze being a mirage of Kushina in habanero mode. Naruto. I know, and if I win, because if I don't they'll kill me, I'll marry her and Hinata. Hinata. I'll choose and that's it, besides I already told you me and two others and no more wives. Naruto. I know, touching Hinata's belly in a hug, besides I promised you that you would be the one to give away my firstborn. Hinata kisses Naruto. Tsunade. Okay. Naruhina. We're sorry. Jiraiya. Oh Gaki, I just hope to be. Naruto. I'm stopping you there since Gaara beat you to the right to be my future son's godfather. Hinata. Naru, we'd better take them to the Pantheon since there's a meeting about what we'll do next. Naruto. Please follow me and we will assign you. The group began walking as they headed to the top of a hill, where the Yuzu Pantheon was located, the maximum extension of political power in the city, since despite its size, a size comparable to that of 3 of the great shinobi villages together, they were not yet all populated. The trip would take a few hours of walking as they would tour and show the changes. The squares were full of greenery and, above all, music. The players were some species of humanoids that the gods gave to Naruto so that they fulfilled the role of bards and brought joy to the inhabitants of Yuzu in exchange for receiving food and a roof. Shizune. Naruto, what are they? Naruto. They are Shizune satyrs, they are male nature spirits with ears and a tail similar to goats, addicted to dance, music and especially wine. Tsunade. What is wine? Naruto. It's the alcoholic beverage we make in Yuzu. There's no sake here, but wine. The fields of Yuzu provide numerous fruits, such as olive oil, vines, from which we ferment wine, numerous fruits and vegetables that are from our native land and from the divine world, added to the blessing of the goddess Demeter, which guarantees our harvests without problems at any time of the year. Satyr 1. My king, please delight us with your music. Satyr 2. Please, your majesty, handing over a pan flute. Sasuke. Are you really a dope? Naruto. Surprise yourself taking the flute and starting to play. The satyrs in the square would begin to dance to everyone's amazement, while the people seemed very excited upon hearing the melody. Jiraiya. That was amazing Gaki. Tsunade. Not bad Naruto. Sasuke. It was good dope. Naruto. Thank you. At that moment, several satyrs began to arrive with more instruments, such as drums, violins, harps, lyres, and so on. Satyr 3. From the Celtic lands, my lord, please join us for our last dance of the day. Naruto. Okay. The band would start playing while the people applauded such a beautiful melody. All. Hey. Partying. Naruto. Thank you very much guys, enjoy your wine. Satyrs. To the gods. Raising glasses of wine. Naruto. Please follow me. The group would again begin walking towards the city hill, where they were expected. Naruto. Welcome to the Pantheon of Yuzu. Jiraiya. And this would be. Naruto. In his terms, what would be the cage tower, or in this case the agora, the village meeting. Wow, they've arrived. 2. Tsunade Oba-chan. Tsunade. Mito, Shiro, how nice to see you. Jiraiya. Oh godson, how incredible you look. Tsunade. Don't pervert it, hitting him. Tsunami. Where is Inari? Inari. I'm here, mom. Naruto. Little Itato, I'm glad to see you. Inari. Like a true Uzu archer. Jiraiya. And what will we do now? Tsunade. Something to tell us. Naruto. Well, the way we govern is based on the king of Uzu, my case, but like the other villages and cities, we have a council. Since we are much more democratic, the king only deals with political and representative matters, as well as military matters on the battlefield, while the rest are like an advisor. We meet here to plan everything we will do. Tsunade. And who or how will participate? Naruto. The idea would be for everyone over 15 to be able to participate, but at the moment it is not possible and never will be, since every inhabitant would participate. Shikamaru. And that makes it problematic. Naruto. As he said, that's why we'll make it representative. Each body of the Uzushio army will be present in the room, as well as the chief medic who would entrust you to Tsunade if you dare. Although seeing what I did with music a while ago, I took the job on Nagato from you. Nagato. How did you do it? Naruto. First, your Rinnegan was killing you slowly, so it only means one thing, that it was implanted. Second, with music as an ability I can cure any illness, wound using an instrument and playing. Tsunade. We're getting off topic. Naruto. Sorry, the others who would be there would be the guild leaders. We decided to form guilds of each profession in the room: fishermen, builders, merchants, blacksmiths, miners and farmers. Jiraiya. Everything is already planned. Gaki, you surprise me. Naruto. I know, also the requirements to be in this council is not to be involved in shady dealings, therefore all those who are not fit for the position, the room itself does not let them pass, their guilds having to choose someone else. Tsunade. The envy of those from Konoha, I wish everything had been like this. Naruto. He is also part of our forces, the trainer, Aureus. Jiraiya. And what is he? Seeing the aforementioned. Aureus. I am a centaur, I will be here long enough to leave the soldiers of these lands capable of fighting and defending their nation. Children. And when Mr. Aureus leaves, we will be with Naruto Nai. Aureus. And I accept your decision, Calix and Eros. Naruto. The defense will be in charge of a being in case the army cannot defend itself. Aureus. You speak of. Naruto. Minotaur, since the god suggested him, based on what I've read I wanted to ask them for the Nemean lion, but due to the labors of Hercules he is dead. Tsunade. Amazing. Naruto. That said, Uzu will have to become great again. But those words, everyone decided to give their best effort so that El Remolino could rise again. As time went by, Naruto made a law that would periodically seek out orphans and homeless families in order to grow the city's population and ensure that the military forces had a considerable number. They were aware that numbers didn't win battles, but rather the quality of their forces, so they focused on the military and forging the best warriors. No matter your origin, your clan, your lineage, everyone was equal in the face of training. Sasuke swallowed his pride, and together with Gaara they became Naruto's right-hand men with Shiro. Sasuke made amends for all his treatment of the blonde in that way, even though Naruto had forgiven him, he felt he didn't deserve that forgiveness. Shiro was devoted to his older brother, he had taught him a lot, not only did he teach him to fight, but also to think and not be all muscle. Gaara was a similar case, they shared ties as Jinchuricus, or well, ex-Jinchuricus, since thanks to the gods, Shukaku could be freed without killing Gaara. Jiraiya became their spy in many areas with his networks. In the following 6 months, several villages began to be abandoned by civilians due to the deals. Konoha, under Hamura's command, became militaristic, imposing curfews and lowering the age of enrollment in the academy from 7 to 5, which caused many complaints from ordinary civilians, since those on the council or with contacts with them circumvented these laws. Over time, a large exodus occurred in Konoha, while something similar happened in the rest of the villages, with the exception of Kumo. These families ended up in Uzu, where the infants decided to become soldiers of that village as a thank you. Something that initially bothered the families, but seeing the lives of the people, the celebrations in the plazas with the satyrs, they opted to let their children start. Only 6 months were enough for Uzu to go from 4,000 inhabitants to 20,000 people. Among all the refugees in Uzu, Jiraiya had rescued Jinchuriki of the Nanabi, from Tokigakure, because he was suffering the same thing as Naruto. Jiraiya was not alone because Rashi, Jinchuriki of Son Goku, had fled from Iwa with the Sannin, who removed the seal that Inoki had on him, along with Utakata, Jinchuriki of Seiken, renegade of Kiri, and even with Han Jinchuriki of Kakuo, renegade of Iwa. The 4 Jinchuriki with the Sannin had been sent to Uzu, where they settled. Rashi, on the advice of his partner, decided to take up a life of knowledge, because as a hermit he had learned a lot and passed it on under philosophical education. Han decided to open a relaxation center because he was fed up with wars. Fu became an Amazon under the command of Hinata and Kuretsuchi, being the right hand of both. Utakata became a pacifist, living as a hermit thanks to Rashi's advice. All the Biju had been freed without killing their containers, staying with their human companions and accompanying them in their new lives. Other situations that happened was the fact that the heiress of Nadeshiko, thanks to Jiraiya, arrived in Yuzu with her mother. Jiraiya had clarified that the laws of Nadeshiko could not be used due to Naruto's situation as clan leader and one of the last men of the same, so the Kunoichis of the Nadeshiko village had to agree not to kill him if he lost. The fight between the Kunoichi and the Uzumaki was quite legendary because to the girl's surprise, he wasn't wearing armor or a combat suit, he was bare-chested, with a red cape hanging on his back, a helmet with a red plume, a shield with a ram logo, his spear, and a kind of underwear with a sword sheath. The Kunoichi blushed when she saw him because he was an Adonis on earth. The Kunoichi, distracted by Naruto's beauty, like the other women, saving Tsunade, lost the fight, being lifted by the blonde himself who decided to plant a kiss on her, sealing the engagement and an alliance between Yuzu and Nadeshiko. Hinata and Shizuka agreed to choose the third and last wife or future wife of Naruto, who turned out to be a priestess of the demon country, whose mother sacrificed herself to seal Mrim, a demon which by the strength of the blonde before the astonished gaze of the priestess, who could never predict a death of the blonde being by her side. Several times the blonde treated him badly, but instead of hating her, seeing her crying, he decided to hug her, while his fiancés watched her and nodded. Shion felt warm in Naruto's arms, so she unconsciously stole a kiss on his lips, which was reciprocated. The moment of battle after the kiss arrived and Naruto never let the priestess seal him. Naruto had decided to face him, managing to kill him with the arrows from the quiver given by Apollo, his celestial bronze material. Naruto was greeted by kisses from his now 3 fiancés, since during the battle, the two spoke with Shion, while Hinata touched her belly worried because 2 months before the mission, the blonde and she gave themselves to each other in the purest and most pleasurable act of love, achieving Naruto's seed at 14 years old to be fruitful and with the Hyuga's egg generate a baby. Shion was stunned by what was said, but seeing the situation it was necessary for Naruto to have an heir to the throne of Yuzu. After the mission to the land of demons, Naruto introduced his fiancés, while he saw his brother Shiro very close to Ino, congratulating both. Naruto's 3 fiancés, fixed on who would be the leader, being Shizuka, although the 3 said their vows in front of the goddess of marriage Hera to ensure the blessing of the gods. Already to pass what was left to turn a year and missing 3 months for Hinata to give birth to Naruto's firstborn, the blonde gave birth to Yuzu. The resurgence of Yuzu was shocking to the shinobi world, as the daimyos exploded in anger because of what happened. None wanted that village to rise again, but their ambition had caused its resurgence. The nations that had supported them were the first to go to Yuzu and establish alliances, something that the blonde accepted with great pleasure to return the favor of saving their lives. Kumo sent Killer Bee's team because they wanted an alliance in secret from their daimyo because, due to his obsession with Yuzu, the daimyo was leaving the country of lightning in ruins and Kumo was preparing to carry out the blow that would restore the country. Naruto was no idiot and accepted without hesitation. The leader of that village wanted to risk his neck by taking them in out of respect for his father, so with the same respect the Raikage had for Minato, he decided to support them politically once they carried out the coup. The alliance with Nadeshiko was made public and all the elemental nations were dismayed by the situation. The situation was very interesting as the daimyos had once again gathered. Chapter 8. The Power of Yuzu. Following Yuzu's revelation to the shinobi world, the daimyos had reunited. At the moment, we found ourselves in the capital of the Land of Fire, where the daimyos had gathered again. The only ones who were not there were the daimyos who supported Uzushio. Fire daimyo. This is getting out of hand. Earth daimyo. This came out because of your shinobi. Fire daimyo. Is it my fault that the clan supported me? Water daimyo. Let's calm down, this is not the time to start fighting among ourselves. Daimyo Reo. It's true, we must do something. Daimyo Wind. I agree. Fire daimyo. And what exactly do they suggest? Water daimyo. We should see Yuzu's power, I doubt they have progressed much in almost 2 years. Bukuku, but that underestimation could lead them to ruin. A voice suddenly appeared. Fire daimyo. Orochimaru. Orochimaru. I see you recognize me. Daimyo Roka. What are you doing here, Sanin? Orochimaru. I was just passing by seeing the mess they've made with the Uzumaki kids and until a few days ago he had some young Uzumaki girls. All? What? Fire daimyo. And how come you didn't kill them? Orochimaru. They suspected they were, but a few days ago, Jiraiya, my old teammate, accompanied by a pair of Jinchuricas who defected from Iowa, raided several of my bases, freeing my subordinates, including both Redeeds. I assumed they were Uzumaki, but none of them had those characteristic abilities so far. Daimyo Roka. Did you say Jinchuricas? Orochimaru. Yes. Daimyo Roka. Damn, when Inoki warned me I didn't give it any importance. Orochimaru. And not just the two of them if you mean Han and Rashi, Kyuubi, Sambi and Ichibi were together from the beginning, their stupidity pointing to the water, and Wind Daimyos brought them closer to the blonde Uzumaki. Lightning Daimyo. You're saying that suspecting. Orochimaru. If you mean that by saving Nibi and Hachibi the rest are in Yuzu, yes they are, a few months ago they saved the Jinchuriki from the Nanabi, and the one from the Rakubi joined them on the way to Yuzu. Fire Daimyo. I will give the order to Hamura to send an attack against them, we will test their forces. Orochimaru. So that old man is Hokage, if you ask me I thought it would be Danzo. Daimyo Roka. Don't send only shinobi. Fire Daimyo. I will not do it my friend, since those present here, be they daimyos of the great nations or the small ones, we know that the shinobi era consumes a lot of money to maintain the villages. Everyone Orochimaru. Yes. Fire Daimyo. In that case, what do you think? At that meeting the daimyos came to a conclusion, the end of the shinobi era, without demanding the end of the villages, but rather they would become cities and produce soldiers, in addition to giving the order to Hamura to attack Yuzu. Konoha, 5 days later. Since Uzumaki Naruto left the Leaf Village, things in the village were not very easy. At first, the strongest clans in Konoha had refused to even participate in the council meetings in protest of the situations, such action was not tolerated, and Hamura's first martyr to power was executed by hanging by order of the council of elders of his clan, Hiashi Hyuga. The former leader of the Hyuga clan was executed for treason to Konoha and the Hyuga clan by making the leader's daughters, who for the elders themselves were useless, flee with a member of the secondary branch, allowing them according to them to take over their pure and noble lineage. That execution was the first of many, since as the village became more militarized and more curfews and many more taxes and tributes were imposed to the detriment of the clans, the first to complain was Shikaku Nara, who was killed along with his wife Yoshino by rude ambush, led by Sai. Choza Akimichi, Chaoji's father and clan leader, seeing that the civilians were treating the clans as weapons, filed a complaint and was publicly beheaded. The only ones left were Shibi Aburam, Tsumin Yazuka and Inoichi Yamanaka, who planned an escape from Konoha with their clans, but they only managed to make Hana and Yazuka, along with Shibi Aburam escape from the Leaf, with the last litter of families in the exodus of the village. Inoichi died fighting against Sakura, who without a hint of mercy pierced his chest, and Tsumin Yazuka was killed by Hamura's own hand, with a kunai directly to the neck, causing the former clan matriarch to bleed to death. After the daimyo meeting, the decision had a profound impact on all the villages, and Konoha, saving Danzo, received the news in very different ways. Danzo disagreed, as the village's livelihood was their way of life, and it was clear to him that the daimyo and his henchmen should be eliminated. The rest of the village accepted the orders very well, as those who were ninja should become troops, soldiers. As soon as the orders arrived, Hamura began preparing an army of around 5,000 men to go after Yuzu. The Rock Daimyo had both leaders meet and agree that they would both carry out the invasion together, with 1,500 men belonging to Iwa. 3 months later. Uzushio. In Yuzu, things had been going very well these past few months. First, the reception of several refugees from Orochimaru's bases and the latest wave of Konoha exiles was increasing the population of Yuzu. The newcomers were trying to acclimatize, as life away from shinobi life was very complicated. Sasuke found two deeds attractive among the arrivals and began a relationship with both of them, the dominated one being the emo himself. Regarding the blonde, Naruto couldn't be happier in his life. Hinata had given birth to her firstborn a month ago, a blonde-haired boy with 2 whisker marks on his cheeks, eyes blue as the sky. The boy was called by Hinata as Boruto Uzumaki. That was where Naruto promised to be present for him. He felt a deja vu of the boy hating him for being the leader in a village, so he decided to be there for him, not to abandon him always, and that he could be there for him. The other joy was Shizuka, who was 6 months pregnant with her second child. The last was Shion, who was still not sure about giving her intimacy to the blonde. But not everything was rosy. The arrival of Konoha sowed sadness for the dead, so with all the honors they buried those who died symbolically, since their bodies could not be claimed. Konoha. Inoki and Hamura were gathered together preparing the fleet never seen before, years of shinobi wars, and they had never used the method of an invasion like the one they would carry out. Inoki. Do you think it's enough to kill the children of those bastards? Hamura. It will be, in case he fails, Danzo will remain as Rakudame Hokage of the Leaf, and they will maintain their ties as before. Inoki. Good luck, you'll need it. Hamura. Please, they're not a threat. Men to the ships. The 5,000 men that Hamura led began to board the ships. There were several former shinobi, rookie samurai, and above all, the new soldiers that the villages were currently producing. The ship set sail in the largest fleet the shinobi had ever used, 50 vessels with a capacity of 100 men each. It would take them 1 week to reach their destination due to the weather. In Uzushio. Naruto was meeting in the agora due to recent news. A few days ago, they had sealed an agreement with Mifune and the samurai of the Land of Iron, but the problem was the situation of the elemental nations. The fury and anger were noticeable due to the heated discussions that were taking place. Even Shikamaru, who could have been watching the clouds, was present and giving his opinion. So Naruto decided to speak before Kankuro and Kiba started fighting. Naruto. Silence. Everyone would fall silent at the shout. This is a democracy, not a street fight. According to what Jiraiya told us, the daimyos are afraid of our power, so they want to test it. We don't know where the attack will come from, if from the north or the south, although we know who could be the selected ones. Merchant. Perhaps we can negotiate a truce. The civil representatives would begin to shout in support. Architect. Yes, we must negotiate. Naruto. Negotiating with tyranny. Give me an example of when that benefited a nation. Kiba. It's true. Ara. I agree. Naruto. Fellow countrymen, we can only judge our future by seeing what we have suffered in the past. Many of you were with me when the daimyos betrayed us, and for those who know how to fight and have faced the fury and ardor of combat, you know how peace is forged. Let us not be mistaken, Hamura, the current cage of the leaf, is a small wolf compared to the greater one that is approaching. So if the villages fought alone, Kumo, the nations of birds, spring and vegetables, the country of iron, Nadeshiko, not even we could defeat the daimyos alone, much less Danzo. We must persevere together or we will perish attached to our selfish interests. Blacksmiths. It is advisable to be prepared for war as our king says, but the armor is not ready. Naruto. Don't worry, even if we have nothing but our civilian clothes we'll fight. Kiba. Shall we prepare the defense? Naruto. They don't know about the port or the city. Sasuke. It is recommended that the Uzumaki mythos fields be used as a landing site, as they are one of the few southern coasts that can be used and do not end in cliffs or rock formations. Naruto. Okay, this meeting is over and team, stay. Everyone would withdraw. Sasuke. What's happening? Naruto. I want your men to be prepared for anything. Sasuke would nod and congratulations. Sasuke. Thank you. Naruto. Look at that, having 2 fiery Uzumakis and succumbing to those beasts in bed. Karen pregnant, who would have thought? Sasuke. Yes, like you have 1 born and another on the way. Insatiable beasts in bed, said the fox. Naruto. If that's why you're so pale, you got 2 addicts to that. After that the 2 retired to their homes. 1 week later. Naruto was holding Boruto in his arms as he played with the boy as much as he could, while the others were engaged in their daily activities. Hinata. Naru is only 2 months old, don't expect him to do much. Naruto. I'm sorry, it's just that sometimes I feel like I'll die without seeing him grow up. I feel like everything that happens pulls the strings of something bigger and that I won't live to see him take my place as king, have a beautiful woman who loves him, who has his children and can watch them grow up. Hinata. You know what? The pearly-eyed girl couldn't finish her words because she heard the sound of a bell ringing an alert. Naruto. Hold it, handing it to Boruto. In the distance, a large number of boats could be seen. At this moment, Naruto was thankful that the city could not be seen because of the whirlpools, so he started to go to the barracks. Hinata. Naru. Naruto. I have to go. Kissing Hinata. I hope I can come back and take care of him. Kissing Boruto on the forehead. In the city everything was out of control, civilians fled in terror to pass through the gates of the walls of Yuzu and be safe. In the barracks, several were putting on their helmets, shields and taking up their weapons, preparing for an imminent attack. Shiro. Brother. Naruto. Shiro, what are you doing here? Shiro. It's not obvious, I'm going with you. Naruto. No, I need you here. Shiro. But. Naruto would hug him. Naruto. I promised our parents I would protect them, so I need you to lead the way here. Shiro would leave a little angry for not fighting this battle. Naruto. Sasuke. Sasuke. Most of them are ready to leave. Naruto. How many? Sasuke. About 600. Naruto. I'll go with them. Sasuke. I'm going with you. Naruto. And the others? Sasuke. I have a debt with you and I'm going to pay it, so let's go. Both would mount their horses as they went outside the walls at the same time as the civilians entered. The last men would place themselves with the rest while Naruto along with Sasuke stood in front of them. Naruto. Men. Ever since Uzushio resurfaced I've lived by a code and that code is simple, honor the gods, love your wife, and defend your nation. Yuzu is the mother of all, fight for her. The men would shout in support as Naruto and Sasuke set off for Mito Uzumaki camp, the most suitable beach for a landing. On the beach. The first to arrive were just beginning to set up camp, their shaky legs beginning to show the weariness of days at sea. Everything was calm, with 15 boats holding the beachhead while they unloaded supplies, weapons, and a few pack animals to transport everything. Nearby, Naruto ordered them to dismount their horses while they established a camp and a garrison of 50 men to protect the animals. In Yuzu. Shion. So it's true. Arriving with Shizuka and Mito next to Hinata. Hinata. Yes, carrying Boruto. Hinohamaru. So it's true, arriving with Shiro and Inari. Shizuka. He didn't let them go, did he? Shiro. He left me in charge of defending the city. Shizuka. I will send messages to Nadeshiko and other allies retreating. Shion. Don't worry too much, pointing to her belly. Tsunade. Shizuka is right, take care of yourself, stress could be bad for the baby. Jiraiya. I alerted the others, and Kiba prepares his elephants in case Naruto and Sasuke need backup. Ara. The walls will hold, at least this attack. On the beach. At least 35 boats had landed and were unloading their supplies, while their men sighed with exhaustion, while in the distance Hamura looked on with an arrogant smile. Hamura. Their coasts are undefended and will fall easily. But that smile would soon begin to fall as a contingent of troops began to run against the soldiers on the ground, who watched this with doubt and bewilderment. A thunderstorm begins to rage as raindrops fall on the muddy field from the previous day's storm. No one wears flashy helmets to ensure a leader is killed. The invading forces outnumber Naruto's forces 5-1, but that evening, Yuzu's soldiers do the unthinkable. Attack. They take advantage of the weary soldiers before they finish supplying and setting up camp, giving them a taste of the savage combat of the warriors of the new Yuzu. Naruto. AHHH. Cutting off a soldier's arm. The Yuzu warriors began to clash forces with the invaders. Despite their armor, the brave Uzumakis, in all but blood, went bare-chested, wearing blue cloaks, helmets without plumes, and carrying spears, swords, and axes. Anyone who was knocked down and was able to recover was helped by a comrade who would crash their shield or weapon against the opponent. Naruto and Sasuke, fighting together, killed anyone who came close to their enemies, leaving several bodies in their surroundings. Their strength was such that those who attacked them with spears slashed with their swords with such force that the spear was severed as long as it touched the flesh and bone of the opponent's body. To the bewilderment and misfortune of the invaders, the Yuzu warriors carried shields that protected them. Sasuke. Go, pointing to one of the boats that was lowering its troops to join the fight. Naruto was running against the soldiers while cutting, slashing or charging on top of his shield and throwing the enemies to the ground, and one of those Sasuke saves him with a spear, while the blonde continues against some soldiers who were tying some donkeys, being killed by Naruto's steel. One was somewhat brave to climb on one and try to charge against a blonde who only put the shield in front of him and managed to bury his sword in the soldier, killing him. More and more enemy soldiers were massacred while Naruto climbed the descending ramps of the ships, killing everyone who crossed him, while a soldier tried to cut him by grazing his helmet, but it was in vain, since Naruto takes him and throws him to the ground, while the donkey jumps and bursts his head with its hooves. Naruto would watch Hamura's ship approaching in the distance, so he jumps from where he was to continue fighting, while with Sasuke, they kill one with the spear and shield, while the blonde is hit by an arrow. Two archers were aiming directly at him, so Naruto threw his sword at them, killing one. Many dead lie on the ground, thousands are from the invaders, dozens of Yuzu's warriors. The remaining archer would shoot another arrow at the blonde's face, while the blonde moves his head down, causing the helmet to bounce the projectile, to end up knocking down the archer, taking off his helmet, and with it slitting his throat. Amidst all the chaos, Naruto and Hamura would lock eyes with each other, so when he saw the old man turn around, Naruto would take the bow and arrow of the soldier he killed and aim it at the Hokage. Naruto. For Yuzu and my parents shooting the arrow. The distance was long and many would not reach the point with the arrow, but Naruto would. The arrow thrown would pierce Hamura's chest right in his heart as he turned to look at the battlefield. Hamura Midokado had been killed by Naruto in battle. The captains of the 15 ships that had not yet reached shore had decided to turn their rudders and return to ports in the Fire Nation, while the survivors of the fight in their ships would carry the rumor of the ferocity of the warriors they forge in the maelstrom. On the battlefield, blood trickled into the sea, while 3,500 Elemental Nation soldiers lay dead on the beach. Only 50 of the Uzumaki warriors were dead. 550 had arrived for the battle, and only 500 returned to camp, along with 50 they had left in reserve. That day the ferocity of the Uzumaki warriors would begin to be feared by all the elemental nations, so no daimyo dared to send his men to certain death. Chapter 9. Loves and Repercussions. Protect, I'm about to become a man, and Naruto would just hug him, because from Achilles' memories, he was angry like Patroclus was in the first battles of the Trojan War. Naruto. I know you're not a child, but you're my brother, I couldn't bear to lose you, I wouldn't, I already lost our parents, I won't lose my brothers. Shiro. I know, but don't be so overprotective, brother reciprocating his brother's gesture. Hinata, Shizuka, Shion. Naruto. Throwing themselves at him, while Tsunade carried Boruto. Han Sasuke. Itachi. How are you? Sasuke. Dien. Itachi. Really? Sasuke. Fine, except I feel better. Itachi. What do you mean? Sasuke. I feel freer, as if the Sharingan had limited me. Itachi. I understand. But Naruto. Hinata was next to Shion putting a bandage on his arm. Hinata. Naruto-kun, don't be so hasty, tightening the bandage tightly. Naruto. Yes, sore. Shion. Also, you should watch your children grow up, don't die because you're a suicidal lunatic, giving them a snitch. Naruto. Hi, with a bump on his head. Tsunade. You better wipe off the remaining blood and then carry Boru-chan. Ara. I'll take charge of the defense if you want to go back, retreating with Lee, Shino and Niji to the walls. Shikamaru. I'll go get the spies to see how we're doing. Naruto. I guess I should go to the hot springs. So everyone left. Naruto knew it was only a matter of time before the battle spread and retaliation came. A week was the time limit they had. That's why, through his clan's Fuinjutsu recipes plus a bit of Apollo's mastery, he decided to implement the barrier of truth on all the walls, every door. If someone wanted to live in Yuzu, their intentions had to be pure and worthy. The barrier detected those who wanted to infiltrate and spy, destroy and bring down the whirlpool. So if they passed, they would be marked and recognized immediately. 3 days later. Naruto was holding Boruto in his arms while the latter seemed to be asleep. Naruto. Boruto, my son, I hope what we do doesn't last too long. I would hate for you to have to wield the sword since you were a child, just as I would never forgive myself for seeing you dead on the battlefield before seeing you become a man. All this was heard by his 3 wives who sighed like schoolgirls. Shion. Maybe I should, looking at herself. Shizuka. Listen to that, son, touching her belly. Hinata. I wish all parents were like that, what would become of you without Heshia's help, she thought. Naruto. Since you were born, I knew that in everything you do, you'll make me proud, no matter what path you choose to follow. Rest easy, kissing his forehead while cradling him. Naruto left Boruto's room while his wives welcomed him to sleep. Shiro's house. Ino was lying asleep while Shiro watched this with a smile. He, Namikaze Uzumaki, was sure that she was the woman he wanted to spend the rest of his life with, but there was a problem. His brother didn't have the amount of wives the Kra demanded, so he started to think. Ino. Shiro-kun, what are you doing hugging her lover by his bare torso? Shiro. It's that my brother might affect me in the Kra, the minimum limit is 5 wives, and my brother only has 3, sooner or later it will start to affect me, and not just me, but also Konohamaru, since by that seal, he is in Uzumaki Namikaze. Ino. Don't worry, I know you'll still love me, and if you have another one too, you'll take care of both of us equally, kissing her lips, but I choose your second and last wife. Shiro. Of course, kissing her and lying down on the bed while hugging Ino. Konohamaru's house. The little boy was blushing because his best friend Mogi had confessed her feelings to him, despite being 10 years old, and she wasn't the only one, because the sister of the pearl-eyed girl, his brother's girlfriend, had also declared her love to him. Mogi. And well, Kono-kun, who do you choose? Hanabi. Who do you choose as your girlfriend? Konohamaru. I'm thinking, what am I saying? At that the now redeed, because the seal had made him redeed, had a memory. Flashback. Konohamaru could be seen walking up the stairs of Naruto's mansion when he heard something. Hinata. You know you can't do that to them. Naruto. I know, but they'll start with the bloodline demands, and since I'm the oldest, I'm the clan patriarch, and both of them along with me are the last Uzumaki men, and I'm not going to put Taiya and Karen in that, they're not breeding machines. Hinata. I know, I understand Shiro, but Konohamaru is a child. Naruto. I know, the fact that I only have the 3 of you makes the law apply to them, the minimum they require of me is 5. Hinata. But you want another one? Naruto. No, by the gods, no, with you I am more than happy, in a few months you will give me the greatest joy, being a father, touching Hinata's belly, something that Shizuka may also give me because of her symptoms. Hinata. I know, but what will you do? Naruto. I'll leave it to them, they will fall in love with whoever they want, they are free to do so. Vindel flashback. Konohamaru. I can't reciprocate the feelings of one over the other. Both. So starting to feel a stabbing pain in my chest. Konohamaru. I love you both, I like you both, that's why I can't choose one of you, I don't want to break your hearts. They both looked at each other for a few moments and agreed to share the little one, so they both threw themselves at him and kissed him. Hanabi. Don't choose us. Mogi. We will share you. Both. You will be our boyfriend. Konohamaru. Hi, kissing both of them. 4 days later. Naruto was organizing his forces since the armor was ready, and together with Gaara and Sasuke, his most trusted generals along with his brother Shiro, were distributing them. Sasuke. Are you sure they will protect? Naruto. Yes. Shiro. You have to admit they look good. Sasuke. I won't argue with that. Naruto. Let's assign the first groups of these armor, we have at least enough for 10,000 of our men, let it be worth it. Konoha. The ships that survived the battle were arriving at the port under the watchful eyes of the daimyos, Danzo and Inoki, but seeing only 15 ships bothered them. Danzo? What happened? Where is Himura? He asked seriously, although internally he had an idea. Daimyo? Where is the Hokage? Captain? Dead, the blonde Uzumaki killed him, surprising everyone. Bring him. The soldiers carried out the descent of Himura, who had an arrow in his heart, while his face reflected surprise. Daimyo? Well, Danzo, you are hereby appointed as Rakudame Hokage of the Leaf. Danzo? I accept the position of Daimyo-sama. Inoki? My men, counting everyone, only you survived, counting 50 men. Soldado Iwa. Soldado Iwa too. My fortune teller. That day, news of Yuzu's massacre spread widely across the elemental continent. The daimyos were astonished, fearful, and upset that their plans had been thwarted. Danzo began to plot to seize power in Uzushio, for if the Whirlpools could create warriors of that caliber, he needed to forge weapons like them. Inoki began a more dictatorial regime, with every man, woman, and child drafted into the ranks of soldiers. He ordered his forces to invade smaller villages and take everyone under the age of 20 to be educated in the name of Iwa. Fist. When the Raikage found out, he only laughed out loud, causing drops of sweat to break out in the surrounding villages, as his laughter could be heard all the way there. The Hachibi's Jinchuriki, upon hearing this, began to compose raps that were heard throughout Kumo. The Nibi's Jinchuriki began to listen to the two-tailed cat's perversions, about which Kurama and the other Baijas were talking through the Jinchuriki connection about muscular, sweaty men covered in blood while they fought. Name. Upon learning of this, Baki decided to take the same measure as Inoki, insensibly causing death and desolation. Left. The daimyo, who had decided to take power directly, decided to forge the majority of his population for war, an imminent war. Konoha 2 days later. Ansm had already seized power, eliminating the village council and beginning to influence smaller villages to join his ideals, of course, behind the daimyo's backs, where he sowed distrust toward them. He began to tame an incredible number of troops, while tensions with Iwa and Suna began to arise. The Warhawk tested his greatest servant, a pale one, as they would test Yuzu's power against the new Konoha. Danzo? Do you understand your mission, Sai? Sai? Yes, Danzo-sama. If the Yamanaka is taken away from the Uzumaki, he will follow her and consequently Naruto. Danzo? And what should you do? Sai? Kill them. Danzo? You will have 50,000 forces, use them well, make sure one of the two of you dies. You know. Yes, Danzo-sama. Brothers be united. After the battle of the Uzumaki Mido fields, the elemental nations understood that Yuzu's power was growing. This was understood by Naruto from the first minute after the battle. Yuzu would be in the sights of many nations and villages again, and not precisely as allies. What truly caught Naruto's attention was a new mass exodus that approached Yuzu in order to be safe. Several smaller villages had to be evacuated for fear of being invaded. The villages near the large shinobi villages made everyone under 30 years old go to Yuzu, avoiding falling into the hands of the tyrants who plagued the elemental continent. Yuzu's population increased, so new measures had to be implemented. From the 20,000 inhabitants of Yuzu until then, the exodus increased the number of inhabitants to 65,000 people, so the city had to expand and even found towns on nearby islands. Naruto always welcomed the new inhabitants of Yuzu, the customs, the joy that the satyrs generated in the people, the green-covered plazas, the strange architecture, compared to the capitals of the elemental nations. Among all the wonders of New Yuzu were its guardians, soldiers, muscled men and fierce women who defended the city and its surroundings, until the bitter end if necessary. Among the most amazed people of the newcomers, Kintsuchi, one of the former Kunoichis of the Sound, who escaping from Orochimaru, arrived in the land of the Whirlpool, being received by Naruto himself in person, but she did not expect to blush when she saw Shiro who, seeing the beautiful former Kunoichi of the Sound, causing his current fiancé Ino Yamanaka to be jealous, but remembering the cross she assumed that she would be the last. Everything went like clockwork for 2 months. Naruto never left his 4-month-old son Boruto's side, whom he did everything he could to help him grow strong and healthy, while Naruto welcomed his second son, thanks to Shizuka, a black-haired boy whom they baptized as Kawaki Uzumaki Namikaze. Naruto always carried both of them, while smiling at both of them, wanting to see them grow. By the work of the gods, Shiro managed to obtain his second and last wife, while Konohamaru informed Naruto of his decision to marry Naruto. So they both decided to accept having partners. Shiro. Yes, the truth is I was only thinking about having one. Konohamaru. Same with me. Naruto. Me too, if you ask me, I thought about marrying Hinata, even though I pretended I didn't know she was in love with me and starting a family, but situations aren't always what one expects. Shiro. You're right. On an island near Yuzu. In 2 months I managed to form a small village. The 50,000 soldiers he had taken from the Elemental Alliance since Inoki, Danzo and Baki signed an agreement in which they would put their resources at the disposal of forming a new government, a triumvirate that would ensure order, peace and control. Sai. I think it's time. Sai along with 10 men headed to Uzushio where they would make their move. Uzushio. The three brothers continued talking animatedly, sharing anecdotes for several hours while within the walls. Sai and his men snuck into Yuzu until they reached the quarters of a sleeping blonde who was drugged and taken out of the city. Shiro was about to go to his quarters when he discovered several dead guards. Shiro? What happened here? Shikamaru. Shiro wait. Shiro entered his chambers discovering what he didn't want. Ino was not there, his fiancée was missing. In Naruto's chambers. The blonde man was kissing his boys who were sleeping peacefully in their cribs while the blonde man's wives kissed their beloved and put him to bed with them. Shikamaru. Naruto entering the room. Naruto. What's going on seriously? Shikamaru. It's Ino, she's not here and the guards are dead. Naruto. Close the city, no one enters or leaves until I order it. Naruto left his quarters in the direction of his brother's quarters and found him throwing everything he could out of anger and sadness. Naruto. Shiro taking his brother. Shiro. Leave me alone, go away crying. Naruto. No, you're my brother and they told me what happened. Shiro. And what will you do? Naruto just put his sword and Shiro's next to each other. Naruto. Let's go for it. Shikamaru. Naruto entering Kiba saw about 11 people enter the city and kidnap her. Naruto. Where? Shikamaru. Heading to the nearby village. Naruto. Symbol. Shikamaru. Anbu. Naruto. Tell Gaara and team to prepare Yuzu for an attack and to have the troops ready for an eventual battle. Shiro. What? Naruto. It's obvious Shiro, if the symbol is Anbu it's Danzo who ordered her kidnapping, so we'll go get her on that island. Shiro. Hi. Both brothers left to infiltrate the island. Shikamaru, for his part, went after Gaara and Sasuke. Sasuke. Are you sure about this? Putting on his armor. Gaara. If he ordered it, it's because something is coming placing his own. Author's note. I'm leaving an image of the armor that Gaara and Sasuke wear, end of note. Gaara. I'll prepare mine touching Sasuke's shoulder. Sasuke. I'll alert Neji. They both retreated to prepare for the eventual battle. On the island. Naruto and Shiro had arrived at the new neighboring village noticing something strange, there were no civilians. Naruto. So they wanted us to be attacked. Shiro. It seems so. In the distance, they both noticed something, Ino tied to a post, while a pale man looked at her with a lustful smile. Sai. Cheer up, you will give me a son and please Danzo-sama. Ino. Rot. Sai. Poor blonde taking her face you know I was thinking of letting you live as my wife, since in 1 week Yuzu will burn. Shiro was about to charge at Sai, but Naruto held him back. So, after signaling to the little blonde, the two of them stealthily approached the pale-faced man's tent. Unfortunately for both Uzumakis, about 5 Konoha soldiers stood by Sai's side. Sai. I knew you would come Uzumaki, I was thinking of attracting your younger brother to make you leave, but you made things easier for me. Naruto. So you were waiting for me he said leaving with Shiro wearing some temporary armor. Sai. Those who believe themselves to be dragons are nothing more than toothless worms, as you are Uzumaki taking out his Tanto, since due to your whim to support your family, you have made all the shinobi villages and daimyos hate you. Naruto. I refounded my village so I wouldn't have to get anyone else into trouble, my village was peaceful, and yet your precious one-eyed master, along with your dwarf cage pointing to a soldier with the Iwa logo, feared their power, which they only used to defend themselves, and knowing that we were allies of your village Sai, they betrayed them generating a loss of blood. And now your supposed leaders show me as a traitor when they wanted to have their greedy hands on what does not belong to them, if that is the case, why should I fear? Sai. Fear that you might die. That your 2 offspring won't see their parent grow up. Naruto. Be careful what you say, because if my brother and I die, there are still warriors who will take up the weapons of Yuzu and use them to destroy every foundation of every village that raises a hand to us, and I am not a tyrant who conquers on a whim, and soldiers like your precious cages do. Sai. I think we talk too much, kill them. The soldiers present threw themselves at her, but Shiro and Naruto massacred everyone while they pulled Ino out. Naruto. Shiro, go, take your love. Shiro. No, you'll come with us, brother. Naruto. But I'll buy them time. Shiro. You yourself said the bond between brothers is the sword that defends Yuzu, so my steel is your steel placing his shield in front of him, while 50 soldiers approached. Unbeknownst to them, a trireme was waiting behind them. Naruto and Shiro noticed this as they shot arrows at the approaching soldiers. Gaara, you better get Naruto up there, I'm not leaving my king and the prince of Yuzu. Naruto. Come up Shiro. Ino. Let's go taking the younger blonde while Naruto faced the other soldiers, buying them time. Gaara. Naruto. Naruto, seeing that Shiro and Ino boarded his ship, decided to board the ship. Naruto. Set course for Yuzu. Helmsman. As you command, sir maneuvering. On the island. Sai. Prepare everything you can, tomorrow we leave for Yuzu, nothing will be left standing. Soldiers? Yes. At that a falcon would arrive. Soldier. My lord, a message from Lord Danzo. Letter. I want several men to return, the situation is not right to fight, if your plan does not work, even if you have to enter Yuzu, use 20,000 men of your initial 50,000. Upon reading that, crumpled the letter and ordered exactly what Danzo had asked for. Uzumaki, even with 20,000 soldiers I can't take down your city. Chapter 11. The Walls That Do Not Fall. After Ino's rescue, Sai was furious that his loyalty to Danzo had been compromised, so he was accompanied by Fuyamanaka, another of Danzo's closest subordinates, and with 20,000 of the men he had left after the dead in his camp, and those he had to return on Danzo's orders. Fu. What would you do, even though Danzo didn't order you to return? Sai. I'll go and demolish your city, I'll burn down every building in it. Danzo-sama will be pleased with that. Fu. Danzo wants his soldiers. Sai. Board the ships. Soldiers. Board the ships. In use. The ship that Gaara had taken to find Naruto and Shiro was docking at the port as they both got off the ship. Shikamaru. It looks like you need help extending his hand. Kiba. I'll help you, Shiro, doing the same. The brothers reciprocated the gesture to get down. Gaara. So, what's the plan? Naruto. Prepare the city for an attack, I doubt Danzo's men will just stand by and do nothing. Shikamaru. There are more than 40,000 of them, we won't be able to resist so many. Gaara. I doubt they'll all attack. Naruto. Even so, the walls must not fall. So they began to prepare, the civilians were taken to areas further away from the wall, while the Amazons formed a barricade behind the walls, while the rest prepared for the coming battle. Naruto's quarters. The blonde man was holding his two boys in his arms as he looked at them expectantly to see what would happen. Naruto. They will be great in the future. Hinata. You think? Naruto. A son will always surpass his father, I know they will. Shizuka. It's Big Naru. Shion. That's why you're one of Yuzu's best husbands. Naruto. Girls, I don't know what I would do without you. At that moment Inari and Konohamaru entered the room. Naruto. What do they need? Both. We want to fight. Naruto. What? No way. Konohamaru. Shiro will be at your side directing and will surely challenge Sai for Ino's hand. Naruto. They know perfectly well that Shiro has no combat experience whatsoever. Shiro. But I will still defend the hand of the woman I love, he said, entering the room. I do not expect you to give me your approval in this, since you would do it for any of them. Naruto. I would do it without hesitation. Shiro. You trust my brother. Naruto. With my life, but rest assured that if they are going to kill you I will intervene. Shiro. I know, hugging Naruto, I'm not asking you to fight for me, because even if dad were alive, he won't always be there to fight for me. Inari. So. Are you going to let us fight or not? Konohamaru. As you told Shiro, and he must have reminded you if you tried to stall for time yesterday, the bond of brothers is the sword that Yuzu defends. Naruto. Both will be on the wall, they are good archers, they will not go down to hand combat. Konohamaru. Inari. Yes. Naruto. Am I clear? Both. Like water. Naruto. Shikamaru. Shikamaru. What time? Naruto. Tell team to send 150 men to the coast, I want them to measure the force they bring. Shikamaru. Like orders. But Sai. Sai was loading the last men of his fleet. Sai. Yuzu will no longer wake up. In use. Shikamaru had already relayed the order, so Sasu chose 10 men with 50 archers that Niji would send to defend the coast. Naruto. Good luck looking at the men. Soldier. Thank you, my lord, Yuzu is our home, we will defend it as such. After these words the soldiers marched off while a flute played along the way. In Konoha. Danzo sat in the Hokage's office as he watched the window from his chair. Danzo. If Uzushio rose up, he may be a stone in my ambitions, although that doesn't mean they can't be subdued. Anbu. My lord, Danzo appearing. Danzo. Speak. Anbu. About 3 minor villages have been found and annexed to Konoha. Danzo. You may withdraw. Anbu. Hi. Aniwa. Inoki was considering 1,000 ways to send a full army against Yuzu, but there was a problem, he did not have the support of his daimyo or a number of ships to carry out his crusade, added to the fact that Kumo would not allow many troops to pass near his village. Back in Yuzu. Naruto was putting on his armor while helping Shiro with his, as it was only a matter of time before the battle reached their doors. Naruto. Nervous. Shiro. A little. Naruto. Hey, nothing will happen to you, I'll be by your side, okay? Shiro. Yes, nodding. Only if I die I want you to take care of Kin-chan and Ino-chan. Naruto. I will never let them kill you. Gaara. The horses are ready. In the stables. Naruto. Beautiful. Shiro. It really is beautiful seeing a horse similar to Naruto's but in black. On the beaches of Yuzu. Sai's forces were approaching the coast, so the forces waiting on the beach prepared for defense. In use. The alarms would begin to sound, while the Yuzu soldiers prepared to defend their homeland. Inari and Konohamaru stood next to Niji on the walls, while the army prepared to resist the attack. Several soldiers placed themselves with their round shields, while the rows furthest from the wall, some rectangular shields, were positioned as a measure of strong resistance. In between, Kiba and Lee had established their elephants, ready to attack the enemy. On the beach. The first ships began to touch land, while the archers shot their arrows to prevent them from reaching it, but it was in vain, since hand-to-hand combat began while the ships continued to touch land. But Sai. Keep approaching the beach, I want it to be taken by my soldiers. On the beach. More and more boats reached the coast, while thousands of men rushed against the coastal defenses. The defenses were barely able to hold off this advance, so. Soldier. Go back to the city. Go back to the city. Of the 150 men, only 50 retreated while the rest lay dead on the ground. In use. All the soldiers were in position, while Sasuke and Gaara approached along with Kankuro, Shikamaru, Yugura, Chijuro, Shino and Jiraiya on their horses. Gaara. Will they come? Sasuke. Yes, but I don't know how much. At that point the 50 who retreated began to reach the walls. Sasuke. Soldier, who happens? Soldier. There are more than 20,000 coming, we managed to kill several but not many. Gaara. There are about 10,000 of us outside. Shikamaru. Numbers don't win battles. Jiraiya. They're right, Minato has lost more than 1,000 in the third war alone. On the beach. Sai. Prepare yourselves, seeing all his men already disembarked. Yuzu is going to fall. Men. Yes. Sai's hordes began to march until they reached the walls while Yuzu waited for them. From the gates of the walls Naruto and Shiro would ride out on their horses ready to defend Yuzu. Naruto. Gaara, team, with me. The four would approach the center of the field while Sai and Fu did the same. Naruto. Sai is an Anbu and already has battle experience, so he'll know when to attack. Brother, you don't have to do this, having a flashback to Hector and Paris's lives. Sai made his men calm down as they approached to talk with the two Uzumakis. Shiro and Naruto dismounted from their horses as they approached Sai and Fu. Sai. They do not hide behind the wall, brave but reckless. Naruto. We are not afraid of the men commanded by the senile Danzo, and they have come uninvited, get on your ships and get out. Sai. I came from very far away, king. Fu. What? Which king? I only see a traitor to the leaf who did not accept the orders to die for the good of the village and the Fire Nation. Shiro. Well, your precious village and nation betrayed us in a very greedy way. Sai would draw his tanto while Naruto would put his hand on his sword. Sai. I know you fear dying, child, and I will make every citizen of the city behind you see how I annihilate you along with your brother. I will see that Ino, the beautiful blonde that you love, sees me as a murderer. Fu. Sai, pull yourself together. Naruto-san, open your eyes. There's no reason for a massacre. We also want two things. If you do this, even you won't die. First, Sai will stay with that blonde, and second, Yuzu will submit to Danzo-sama and fight when he says so. Naruto. They expected me to see their men and feel fear. I saw them. There are 20,000 men who are going to fight only for the greed of a mummy. Fu. Danzo-sama's mercy has limits. Naruto. I've already seen that limit, and I can assure you that no citizen or soldier of Yuzu will accept Danzo as their leader. Fu. Then all those people will be killed. Shiro. There is another way everyone sees it. I love Ino. I'm not going to let her go with you, and neither are you, so we're going to fight. The winner keeps her. That's how this conflict will end. Fu. You are very brave, but silly child, but it is not Danzo-sama's will. Sai. Let me kill him and then burn his city. Fu. I didn't come for a simple weapon, I came to prevent you from doing something stupid. Sai. I won't let that kid take my dog away from me. Fu. As you wish. Sai. I accept your challenge, tonight you will be dead. After those words Naruto took Shiro, while Sai took his tanto and a katana, since the orders of the daimyos made it impossible to use more chakra, and each shinobi had to adapt to a different way of fighting. Gaara approached Shiro and Naruto as he handed the shield to Shiro. Naruto. Don't get too confident, make him attack a lot so he'll get tired. Shiro. Brother, if I fail, tell Ino that. Naruto. Okay, placing a hand on his brother. Shiro removed his cloak revealing armor that shone gold like the sun. Author's note, add round shield and sword, remove mace and helmet that way. Shiro. And that side doesn't do anything to him. Naruto. Remember your steel in his, nothing else. Shiro would put on his blue-plumed helmet. Sai would begin slashing with both weapons while waiting for him, so Shiro put his shield in front of him, with his sword pointed at the pale one. Sai would quickly begin throwing blows at the shield that Shiro resisted until the younger Uzumaki would almost get on his knees defending himself with the shield, so the pale one would kick, causing him to lose his sword, shield and helmet. Jiraiya. Come on boy, take your sword. Naruto. Up, take your sword. Shiro would begin to clash steel against Sai, who in a stroke of luck would land a punch on Shiro, making him spit blood. Shiro would get back up while he begins to stab Sai, who would take his arm and twist it back, but the younger Uzumaki would get away while charging again with his shield, causing the pale man to take it and throw, leaving the younger defenseless, so countering Shiro's sword with a tanto, he would hit Sai, making blood come out of his mouth, beginning to slash and cut Shiro's thigh. The younger Uzumaki would fall to the ground moaning in pain. On the walls. Ino had gone to Niji's side to see what was happening next to Kin, and they saw the moment in which her current fiancé fell to the ground. Niji. Get up boy, fight. Konohamaru. Nai-chan. Inari. Get up Shiro. In the field. Shiro would crawl back, escaping Sai, to stand up and slash, but Sai would disarm Shiro, hitting him in the jaw and knocking him down. Naruto would come from behind, bringing his hand to his sword to intervene, while Shiro would get to his knees, before Sai would take his tanto and decapitate him. Naruto in a quick movement would take the spear from Sasuke to throw it at Sai, burying it in his stomach, making Shiro take advantage of the opportunity to get closer to Naruto, so the pale one took it from him as he approached them. Sai. Fight. In the background Fu was preparing Sai's men to attack. Sai. If she doesn't fight, Yuzu will be finished. Naruto. Just as your companion was preparing an attack after the fight, I'm not stupid Sai, and I won't let my little brother die. Sai. This ends when he dies. Naruto. The fight is over. Sai. This is not over yet, go back or I'll kill him at your feet. Naruto. He's my brother. Sai would throw himself to kill Shiro, but Naruto would receive him with his sword in the chest to remove it from the place while the blood flowed. In that the soldiers most loyal to Sai threw themselves screaming, accompanied by the others, while Fu watched this astonished. Were these really loyal to Danzo or only to Sai? Those were his doubts. Naruto. Get on, helping Shiro get on the horse, go, Gaara take him inside. Gaara would take Shiro's horse, while Sasuke picked up the weapon on the ground, so all the riders present retreated with the other forces. Naruto. Niji crossing several lines that were closing ready. Niji. Archers. The archers would aim with Inari as the first to shoot. Fu. It's too close to the wall. Naruto. For Yuzu. All. For Yuzu. The first rows would point their spears at Sai's soldiers, while the first waves of Sai struck against the first shields, several of the enemy and a few of Yuzu's warriors were killed. Niji. Now. The archers would begin to attack with a shower of arrows, taking turns in 3 lines, where Inari and Konohamaru were in 2 of them. Sai's soldiers would begin to fall en masse. Naruto. Vanguard. Push. The front rows would push hard, knocking down Sai's soldiers as they advanced, leaving it up to the warriors behind to finish off the survivors. One of Gaara's men was a 2-meter 10-centimeter tall giant who fought with a club, so Naruto risked charging at him on horseback, but would be thrown off the animal, leaving him with his spear and shield, but it would be broken by the giant, so Naruto unsheathed his sword and would slash while dodging the blows of the subject, to be crushed between the hammer and the subject who applied pressure to break it. The archers continued to launch arrows, killing several, while Naruto managed to get away by headbutting his opponent to free grab a spear and bury it in the subject's abdomen. Giant. You're the best of them, aren't you? Dragging his body along the spear until he was close to Naruto, breaking the stick and hitting her with it. Naruto took the sword of a fallen soldier and buried it in the giant, killing him as the Uzumakis cheered. Niji kept ordering them to fire arrows at the invaders. Naruto. Attack. Raising his sword. Uzu's warriors began to sweep away the enemies, while the rain of arrows did not cease. Gaara. Lancers. The lancers would begin to throw their spears, while Sasuke's men threw themselves into hand-to-hand combat, while Naruto threw himself into combat with them, starting a carnage. Fu. Withdraw, ordering the men from behind. Several of Sai's men would heed Fu's orders, while those who didn't would face certain death. On the walls, seeing that 5,000 of the initial 20,000 attackers had retreated, they would begin to cheer, while on the field, those who stayed to fight were killed. Jiraiya. Naruto approaching his horse. Kiba. Lee, you're with me. Lee. Without a doubt, my friend. Naruto. Kiba. Lee forces them to retreat from the coasts. The elephants charged at the others, causing the enemies to become terrified at the sight of the grotesque animals charging at them, and even more so by their loud sounds. The soldiers who fled with Fu boarded the ship as best they could, as the charging elephants made things difficult. For every soldier who boarded, about 10 were killed by the elephants' charge. In the end, only 1,000 of the 20,000 who had arrived left the Whirlpool Islands. Naruto. Gather our dead and bring theirs to your ships, when you deign to return you will take them. That night, numerous funerals were held for those who fell in battle. Of the 10,000 defenders of Yuzu, 2,000 fell in battle, so Naruto, with a few words, entrusted them to the ferryman to be taken to the pure world along the river Styx. That night, Naruto stood by his brother's side, who refused to look at his face. He felt ashamed and wanted to avoid being protected, and that nearly cost him his life. Naruto. Raise your head, little brother. Shiro. Because I wanted to fight and almost got killed, I had to crawl because I looked like a coward. Naruto. It's part of the battle, you can't always fight the way you want. Hugging his brother, I could never look down on you for wanting to defend your beloved. Ino and Kin. Shiro-kun hugging the aforementioned. Don't do that again. Baka crying. Naruto. See, you have your fiancés, there's no shame in not wanting to fight your opponent, even shinobi run away. We all fear death. Chapter 12. Repercussions, Hades' blessing. After the battles, Naruto began paying tribute to the fallen while helping his brother after the ceremonies. Shiro was tired of being weak, so despite the pain of losing friends and comrades, Shiro requested training with his brother. He was a good archer, but not a hand-to-hand fighter. Naruto agreed to train him in swordsmanship while not letting him falter. He constantly motivated him to keep going and never give up for Yuzu, his family, and especially his brothers. Yuzu after the battle began to celebrate the days they won battles as days of commemoration. They organized festivals, the satyrs played more lively music, everything began to run like clockwork. More than 7 months had passed, so Shiro ended up marrying Kin and Ino under the statue of Hera, saying his vows, while Naruto accompanied him, followed by Boruto and Kawaki, who started walking and crawling respectively. Also before his brother's wedding, Shiro found out that Ino was pregnant with him since after the battle, Ino helped de-stress the boy. Thanks to Tsunade, Ino showed symptoms of pregnancy a month later, and 2 weeks later, 3 months after the battle, she confirmed her pregnancy. Shiro could not contain his joy, while Naruto encouraged him to be a good father like Minato was with them. Jiraiya. I see you're doing well at being a father and being so young, said a white-haired old man with tattoos on his face. Naruto. Hiro-senin, even though I'm 16, I have 2 strong boys who will surely be heartthrobs as teenagers and won't make the mistakes I made. Jiraiya. Sometimes you have to fail in order to grow. Also, when will you stop calling me that nickname? Naruto. When you don't ride Icha. Jiraiya. Never. Both. Hahaha. Jiraiya. What's going on? Naruto. I wish mom and dad were here with us, mom scolding me for not using birth control seals, dad crying and telling me I'm a man for having hex since he would notice. Jiraiya. They may not be present, but that doesn't mean you have them here, pointing to his heart. I guess I showed up at the wrong time, didn't I, champ? Jiraiya. Who are you? Well, in this plane the Atsutsukas really did file down the respect for the divine. Naruto, your domain is something about death, isn't it, sir? It seems that my nephew's perception has helped you, champion. Naruto. Yes, let me introduce myself. I'm Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, champion of Olympus, and you? The immense Hades. Jiraiya bowed instinctively, while Naruto offered some wine and food as offerings. Hades. It's been a long time since any mortal made me offerings, eating a little and drinking the wine, as the others of Olympus believe me to be the black sheep of the family, despite being one of the oldest of the 6 brothers, and they consider me to be noble. Naruto. I understand, Lord Hades, maybe it wasn't because it was my family who treated me like that, but my home village. Hades. Anyway, I think that's enough of the sentimentality, placing his hand on Naruto's shoulder. Naruto would close his eyes. Hades. For the nobility you possess, the immense love you have for your younger brothers, I Hades, god of the underworld, the dead and wealth grant you my blessing. Your abilities will be to summon the dead for advice for a time to this plane, and to be able to detect metals to help your growing Greek nation in these lands. Naruto. I Naruto Uzumaki, champion of the Olympians, accept the blessing of Lord Hades. Hades. Well said, fading away from the place. Jiraiya. And he's already gone, calmed. Naruto. You got scared, you turned pale as if you saw a mob of women about to beat you. Jiraiya. Well, what are we going to do? Hahaha. After that, both of them retired while Naruto proceeded to take care of his children and wives 100%, and even more so when, after talking to Jiraiya, Shion confirmed her pregnancy. In the elemental nations. After the fall of 20,000 men alongside Sai, Danzo was furious, his plan failed, and instead of having 2 Uzumakis dead, he had Sai. Fu, as soon as he arrived at port, revealed everything that had happened, plus how impenetrable its walls were, along with the battle animals they used, that increased Danzo's greed and ambition, but he could not move abruptly, he had to wait for the waters to calm down and make a new plan. The military route failed for the moment, so in his opinion. It was the turn of diplomacy. In Iowa, news of the 20,000 fall of Yuzu quickly spread. Inoki was annoyed and furious. Yuzu was stronger than before, having risen again, and worst of all, without the seals Hiruzen had provided them with last time to annihilate that village, after nullifying its barrier. Inoki. How is it possible that those walls have not been crossed and do not even have seals? After that, Inoki's dictatorship knew no boundaries, so despite his daimyo's many requests, he had both the land of grass and sound absorbed into his fold. This forced Orochimaru to flee to his bases within the land of fire, while Kumo could no longer look the other way. In Kumo, the Raikage sent a secret scroll to Yuzu 5 months after the battle, asking for an alliance with them to overthrow their daimyo, without making the alliance public, and also to smooth over the rough edges of previous wars. When this message reached Yuzu, Naruto accepted the alliance, as an ally is always more than necessary, at least with the power of Kumo. The daimyos at Yuzu's display of power were fearful, now they wondered if such wealth was worth more than their lives for risking themselves like that, so starting with the earth and followed by the fire, with the exception of those affiliated with Yuzu, many staged a coup, and new daimyos were crowned. Inoki of the nascent Earth Empire after annexing the sound and grass. Danzo in the land of fire annexing the land of noodles and tea. In a short time the map of the elemental nations was divided into a few nations, since in the following months, Inoki invaded the land of demons and isolated the land of snow. Kiri annexed the archipelagos until closing Nadeshiko. The Empire of the Wind advanced on the land of the moon, while the rest like vegetables, birds and others, had to abandon and go in search of refuge in Yuzu where they were received. The exodus upset the new daimyos, which caused hostilities between them and Yuzu to increase, with the exception of Danzo who established policies of neutrality, and even more so when Nadeshiko was abandoned and taken to Yuzu. Kumo, faced with a difficult situation of power, staged a coup by killing his daimyo, marking the alliance of lightning with Yuzu, which nearly triggered war with the Earth Empire. However, Danzo mediated, seeking to win the former Raikage over to his side, but this failed. His government was formed following the democratic example of Yuzu, where A always tried to imitate Naruto's speeches. In the face of the commotion caused, 5 years would pass, 5 where for some it was a very long time, but for others it was something incredible. Naruto became the father of a beautiful blonde girl who was baptized with the name of Persephone, in honor of the wife of the god of the underworld. Persephone Uzumaki Namikaze. The girl was a carbon copy of her father, without the mustache marks on her face. Shiro was also a father, being his son, a boy with features like his mother with her hair color and his blue eyes and mustache marks. Inogen Uzumaki Yamanaka. Author's note: I know he looks like Sai, they just give him the marks like Boruto. Sasuke for his part was the father of 2 children, one a black-haired boy whom he named Fugaku, his mother being Teiya, since the boy was a foul-mouthed boy since he was little, and the second a red-haired girl like her mother Karen, but with Sasuke's black eyes. He may not have wanted 2 wives, but faced with the Uzumaki alphas, the poor Uchiha had to be dominated by them. Ara began a relationship with Fu, former Jinchuriki of the Nanabi, having a son whom they named Shinki. Kiba married and had a daughter named Tsume, while Shikamaru married Tamari and had 2 children, one named Shikadai and the other named Tenma, both being twins. They brought out opposite sides, with Tenma being the closest to his mother and Shikadai being a complete slacker, like his father Nara. In the image, Shikadai's twin, without the bandana. Niji decided to wait for the perfect partner determined by his destiny, while Lee and Tenten began their relationship. Jiraiya was able to resume his duties as Nagato and Konan's teacher, as both wanted to make up for the incident. Obito was able to apologize to Naruto for what had happened, though not for the Kyuubi, as the village deserved it. The Baijas turned to laziness in very expected cases, while others dedicated themselves to philosophy, combining Greek teachings with those of Hagoromo. Inari became a priest of the Temple of Apollo, receiving a blessing similar to Naruto's. Mito became a priestess of Artemis, being invited to the house after her death, following her oath of purity. Konohamaru married Hanabi, and Mogi distanced herself from her former friend Yuden, as her jealousy was stronger than reason. Yuzu remained stronger than ever, all the spies who entered did not return, so the walls were never breached, not even the bandits dared to attack them. But Naruto. The older blonde boy was telling a story to his boys, who listened to the story with little stars in their eyes, while playing with wooden swords. Naruto. And that's how the country was freed from the wave. Naruto. Dad, that was great. Kawaki. Yes, Dad, tell us something. Naruto. I want you both to remember it well. Both? Yes. Naruto. The bond between brothers is the sword that defends Uzushio, never forget it. Naruto. Never. Kawaki. Never. Shion. It seems that you teach them, he said, carrying a girl. Naruto and Kawaki. Mom. Shion. Hello. Shion. Glad to see you. Naruto. What brings you here? Shion. Spending time with my husband and daughter. So the family enjoyed it to the fullest as Hinata and Shizuka joined in the moment as a family, unaware that periods of peace don't last forever. Chapter 13. The passage of time and the beginning of the war. The time after the revelation and the blessings of Hades began to pass, Uzushio was feared by his warriors, in addition to the rumor that spread is that the gods defended them, since a handful of spies passed and saw the great statues of marble and granite that adorned the city, not only the main city, which was formerly the ancient village of the Whirlpools, but the entire archipelago grew exponentially, coming to see the great constructions in honor of the gods. One of the most striking was the temple erected to represent the gods of the sea and storms, since some groups still held beliefs in Shinto, so the temple was adorned with statues of Poseidon and Susanoo no Mikoto. The spread of culture didn't stop there. The great library of Yuzu contained information from various cultures, as each island in the archipelago was built based on a specific one. The traditional ones maintained their sense of oriental comfort. The Land of Lightning decided to found several towns using Yuzu architecture as an example, in addition to hiring Yuzu architects, who created a replica of the Gardens of Babylon as a city, which was called New Kumo. As for Uzushio, its military, economic and artistic power was always outstanding. The Yuzu Agora always had the discussion of the advances, because the civilians gave their opinions about the military and tried to give their points of view, that Naruto, Gaara and Sasuke, as the most outstanding members of the militia, give them attention was another thing. This was received very differently in the rest of the elemental continent. Inoki was more than annoyed by this expansion, not only military they had, since his soldiers accompanied merchant caravans and were often intercepted by their guards in the empire, but in the face of the threat of war, they could not do anything. Danzo saw this with interest. When he knew and saw the lightning gardens he was amazed, while Koharu, the only current living counselor, was surprised. They were not only expanding militarily, since Yuzu was feared by many hidden villages without being conquered, but also by mercenaries and groups of bandits, since 4 groups tried to enter its walls, nothing was known about them, except that their heads adorned the fields and beaches of Yuzu for a long time, as a warning of what would happen if they messed with them. In 10 years, Uzushio was at the height of everything, every branch, every human action, everything was represented by Yuzu. The ex-Kages looked at this with caution, and some with fury. Without chakra they subdued anyone in the military and in the other fields they excelled. Uzumaki royal residence. Naruto was watching the training of his 2 boys, today a pair of pubescent 15-year-olds, who carried with great virtue the beauty inherited from their parents. Both minors were skilled swordsmen and stood out greatly in various branches, so much so that since they were 12 years old, they have their own legions of Yuzu soldiers. Both were faithful to their father, who never hid anything, was always honest and understanding with them, and showed them the fatherly love that Minato had given him. As for what was inherited by the gods, Boruto was a prodigy with a bow, with the skills of the hunt and above all, he had a very joking attitude when it came to earning money, since he was quite a swindler, courtesy of the domains of Hermes, however somewhat airheaded when it came to battles. Kawaki was the opposite of his brother, he was serious, a skilled musician, since he was part of the inherited domains, excellent with his domain in the hunt, as well as being a great strategist. As for the eldest blonde, he was very proud, his older children were strong, understanding, honorable and kind, all he asked was that they did not make the same mistakes as him, and for some time now he had had a certain ability to manipulate lightning, thanks to a gift from Zeus. He was highly coveted by women across the elemental continent, a great stallion, but unlike other Greeks and gods, he was 100% faithful, with 3 wives, 2 men who would soon form their families, an adorable daughter who decided to be an Amazon to make her father proud, and 2 children, Arashi Uzumaki Namikaze, whose mother was Shion, and Himawari Uzumaki Namikaze. On Hinata's side, Shizuka, to the misfortune of the family, was attacked by the infiltration of bandits to Yuzu. Being badly injured in a complicated area, causing the loss of her uterus, leaving her without the possibility of being a mother again. Naruto. That's enough, kids. Kawaki. Whatever you say, father with a slight smile. Naruto. Of course, old man smiling, in such a way that one would see a son behind him. Naruto. Put away your swords and shields, and take a bath before eating. My king. Naruto. Oh Fugaku, how are you? Don't use that formality with me, since I am your godfather. Fugaku. TSK, whatever the bucket is, man, what's going to happen from now on, since we don't train much? Naruto. Calm down, you're going to train, only, since your mother. Fugaku. TSK, I know. Naruto. Fine, putting a hand on his shoulder. Nai-san. Oni-chan. Sasuke. Son. Parent. Fuga-kun. Naruto. Glad to see you team, cousin and little one Sarada and Daisuke. Daisuke. Look, uncle, I can already put the arrow in the target taking out a bow. Naruto. That's incredible, ruffling his hair at this rate you'll soon surpass your brother. Fugaku. TSK, as if I left it to the dwarf smiling sideways. Daisuke. I will be stronger and more skilled than Nai-san. Sasuke. Okay, go train while I talk to Naruto. The Uchiha family withdrew from the training camp. Sasuke. I like your long hair better than the way you had it before. Naruto. She looked like a girl, and I left it for a while until all of Yuzu's army had their armor after the battle against Sai. Sasuke then takes a photo. Sasuke. You looked very imposing like that, although your current cut suits you. Naruto. Yeah, well, let's stop talking about my hair, that's what you wanted to talk about. Sasuke. I talked to Shikamaru and Itachi Nai about Inoki. Naruto. What does the old smurf want now? Sasuke. Most likely he will try to access the coast in an expansionist way, I just think he will invade smaller nations that still resist being conquered, but… Naruto. What about the Land of Lightning? A lot has happened these past few years, if you ask me. Sasuke. Gaara and I sent about 500 soldiers to the garrison in Lightning, since thanks to our alliance, we can send troops to the continent. In the Earth Empire, capital city Iwagakure. Inoki. Well, with this force of 30,000 men I will break through the lands of Kumo territory, with a port in those lands, with a handful of ships, I will go to Yuzu and turn it to ashes. After that order, Iwa gave his men the green light to advance on the country of Lightning, while another 20,000 advanced through the still free villages and nations. Settlement on the Yuzu Rei, Poseidonis. The soldiers were training and performing their routines together with several soldiers and former Kumo shinobi, under the command of the Hachibi's Jinchuriki, Killer B, when… Look out. To arms, they attack us. B. You should send help messages, brother. Pankuro. Yes, I know, men, this fort will not fall until there is one left standing. Men. AU. Uzushio. Naruto and Sasuke had met Gaara and Shinki, while the latter two were training with axes in hand. In the temple of Apollo. Inari listened to the prophecies that the gods sent him in the form of Hakis, while giving him a couple of skills, improving his archery, and making him a good musician and healer. In the temple of Artemis. Mito was dressed in white while several deer approached her and lived with her while she listened to the invitation to the hunt from the moon goddess. But Naruto. He had already greeted his other godson, already his golden friend, while a bird notified him of what was happening on the continent. Sasuke. See you at the port. Gaara. I'm going. Naruto. I will talk to the new generation, Shinki, I ask you to gather them. Shinki. Hi. Uzumaki Royal Mansion. Naruto arrived quickly and proceeded to put on his armor. Naruto. Father, where are you going? Naruto. They invaded the Land of Lightning, and Fort Poseidonis is near the coast. Kawaki. What are you ordering us, father? Naruto. What do I always tell them? Both. The bond between brothers is the sword that Yuzu defends. Naruto. I entrust the city to both of you, you and Inogen, if we die with your uncle you are the new generation of Uzumakis, since Konohamaru still does not know if he will be a father or not. Both. I ask you to take care of Arashi and if he doesn't come back, train him. They would both hug their father while nodding. Port. The new generation was gathered and had received the instructions. Naruto. The future of Yuzu rests on you looking to the new generation we entrust you with Yuzu. Shiro. Take care of your mother and your pregnant stepmother. Inogen. Hi. Sasuke. Take care of your Fugaku brothers. Fugaku. Just like Uncle Itachi would do it. Thus 100 ships, 25,000 warriors of Yuzu left the port. Naruto. Good luck, father, with concern. Kawaki. We will defend Yuzu to the bitter end if necessary. Both brothers would cross swords as a sign of promise. Yuzu vs Iwa. In Iwa. Inoki was in his office watching his troops advance from his city. Since the fall of the daimyo of the earth, Inoki took power like an emperor, he overwhelmed all freedom and set an ambition for territorial expansion, waterfall, sound, smaller villages in the middle, and on the border of the country of fire and the country of lightning, his ambition to control the maritime environment that Yuzu and Kumo forged as allies, an important trade route. Since Yuzu used it to be able to go safely to the countries of silk, stone, forests, honey and lakes that had recently obtained trade agreements with Uzushio. Inoki knew he could take the land of winter, but when his daimyo, out of fear, gave up power and declared himself a vassal of Kumo, he lost the possibility, but his ambition went further. If he took Kumo, he would take the entire north of the elemental nations, his main obstacle, Fort Poseidonis that Kumo granted an alliance to Uzushio. Faced with that stone, he orchestrated a plan that could not fail. He wanted revenge for the Battle of the Mito Uzumaki fields. He organized a siege of that fort with 30,000 men, all re-educated and prepared in favor of Iwa, while sending waves of 20,000 men into the Land of Lightning to weaken Kumo's forces. Only Inoki knew something, and that is that in secret and with the support of Suna and Konoha, he organized some 50,000 men made up of mercenaries that he sent directly to Uzushio. If Naruto Uzumaki left Yuzu, no one would defend it. In Yuzu. Naruto's departure with a force reduced the city's defense, so Princes Boruto and Kawaki, as the elders of the Uzumaki house present, organized the city as best they could. Kawaki, as a strategist, planned sorties, counteroffensives, and defense. Boruto set up exploration teams and garrison posts on each coast of the island and islets that made up Uzushio. Boruto. The city must not fool viewing the panorama from the walls of Yuzu. Kawaki. I knew I'd find you here arriving with the aforementioned. Boruto. What are you doing, brother? Kawaki. The defense is prepared and civilians are ready to evacuate in case the attack on Poseidonis is a trap. Boruto. I want you to go with the rest no matter what happens. Kawaki. What? Boruto. What you heard, I'm the oldest, if I die you can take the place as kings if something happens to dad. Then they see a rider coming at full speed. Rider. Your majesties. Kawaki. What's going on? Rider. A contingent of at least 50,000 is approaching the coast. Boruto. Prepare the defense, I want the entire militia ready to fight. Thus said Boruto and Kawaki prepared the defense of the city. In a matter of time the enemies would arrive to crash the walls, so everyone who would raise the sword for Uzushio was sent to the armory. In a nearby temple. Hinata and Shizuka were walking while several women were training with great strength. Shizuka. Any changes today? Then 10. None except a cry for help from his son, my lady. Hinata. Prepared Amazons. The women would give a war cry. In the city. Boruto and Kawaki were on their horses in front of the 15,000 Uzushio infantry, Kiba and Lee's elephants, plus the 5,000 riders under Inogen's command, about 7,000 archers under Konohamaru's command on the wall, while in the distance a sound was heard alerting the arrival of the enemy. The 50,000 mercenaries and bandits were not so clever as they wore Iwa insignia while shouting to scare the Uzumakis. Boruto. Soldiers are afraid. The soldiers. Faced with the failed intimidation, Boruto ordered the Apollonians, the soldiers with large square shields that Uzushio possessed, to hold their ground while the enemies charged at them. Kawaki. Archers ready. The walls aimed arrows because, when they hit the first 3 lines, they would attack with a rain of arrows to defend the infantry. The clash was not long in coming, as a shower of arrows fell upon the enemy soldiers, causing immense casualties from an endless rain. Boruto. Lancers now. The lines behind the Apollonians hurled their spears at those who approached, giving more bloodshed, while on the near horizon, a war cry of 5,000 women on their horses was heard. Minute 405 onwards, ignore Steppenwolf. Kawaki. Brother. Boruto. I'm with you. Inogen. Cousins. All 3. Attack. At the shouts of the 3 Uzushio commanders, the soldiers, with a war cry, charged at the enemy without a trace of fear. For the mercenaries, this was something out of any shinobi history book, but they told stories much older than that. Upon the arrival of Kagaya Otsutsuki herself, only 1,000 survived the carnage at Uzushio, retreating never to return. Boruto. Not bad. Kawaki. To be our first battle. Inogen. Hahaha it wasn't bad sheathing his sword. The 3 Uzumakis present were covered in enemy blood. If one were to bet, the trio of cousins would clearly have won. Their first deaths and first battle went better than they had expected. Their own losses were only 5,000 plus 500 from Uzushio's Amazons. Each loss hurt, but rather than be remembered with sorrow, the ferryman at the funeral asked them to be taken to the Champs-Élysées. And Iwa. The news of the defeat of his mercenaries shook Inoki because the loss showed him that this was not a game, so he decided to go to Konoha and meet with Baki and Danzo, who were dismayed by the defeat they suffered, although at public levels Konoha and Suna denied their participation. In Konoha. Danzo was meeting with the civil and shinobi or military council, since the ninja section had been dissolved by order of the daimyo. Danzo. That's all the news. Peharu. I think this is going too far, if we knew who had that boy, we could now be the strongest village. Civilian 1. We know he has children, right? Civil 2. Let's go after those kids, re-educate them and that's it. That's where an Anbu would come in. Anbu? Danzo-sama Inoki-san is waiting for you. Danzo. Let him in. Inoki entered with the most serious face he has ever shown as a cage. Danzo. To what do I owe the honor of your visit, Inoki? Inoki. We lost. Danzo. What? Peharu. What do you mean? Inoki. The mercenaries we sent, 50,000 mercenaries, only 1,000 returned, the children of Uzumaki, Minato's grandchildren are just like their father, and are good commanders. Peharu. Only 1,000. She asked incredulously what strength do they have? Inoki. The report is that they have war animals, elephants, grotesque beings, large, with trunks and tusks, and are also armed with 3 people on top of them. Danzo. This is very impressive angrily clenching the staff with his hand, the situation was more difficult who commands him. Inoki. And in Yuzuka, they didn't tell me more. The other animals I've been told about are horses, riders who throw themselves at speed. The civilians at this point were pissing themselves. Danzo. The reports ignore the fact of women, what I sense is that they are not. Inoki. The women are the most bloodthirsty, they are called Amazons, and according to my spies, they are warrior women who stood out for their riding skills, as well as for their courage and pride. I also found out where the name came from, and it turns out to be a myth. It describes them as a race of warrior women, with the characteristics I mentioned, added to a hatred for men, something that those in our world do not have. Civil 1. We should have one and make it a breeding machine. Inoki. You're too stupid civilian, each Amazon is worth 100 men, they are so strong and skilled that 100 men wouldn't stop one of those warriors. Enzo. Thanks for letting us know. Inoki. With that I'm leaving. I must warn Baki. The land of water is on the verge of collapse. Our list of allies is dwindling. Inoki would then withdraw, leaving fear and greed in the civilians of Konoha. In the land of lightning. As Edenus resisted the siege with claws, they lost men and Amazons, but they did not leave without taking several unfortunate people, due to the help of Kumo that absorbed the remaining 20,000. Edenus had fallen, only 1,500 men and Amazons resisted against 30,000. For 5 days they resisted as it came to pass. Iwa used everything to break and penetrate the fort, fire, earth, lightning jutsu, but nothing worked for them. Henkuro. Hold on, until the last one falls dead. Victorious, we will not be defeated. The soldiers and Amazons gave war cries that terrified the Iwa soldiers, but their number did not make them retreat, they only worried at the arrival of reinforcements from Yuzu, where the real carnage occurred. Sasuke, along with his son Fugaku, fought side by side, killing every earth soldier who approached them. Naruto and Shiro, both brothers, made it clear why they were children of the Yellow Lightning, and the bloody habanero, without the need for the Hiraishin, both took down around hundreds by themselves, while Gaara led 500 to help the fort with one of the attacks it received. Iwa resisted as best it could. As the tide turned, they thought that the 20,000 who were in the lightning would help them. Luckily for them, Kumo had killed 5,000 of them, and the rest joined their fight, but they could do little against the union of Kumo and Yuzu, who combined their forces. Only 200 returned to Iwa, while Lei and Naruto shook hands, as a sign of reinforcement of their alliance. After their victory, they and Kumo entered the land of the bears, where the people welcomed them as liberators and heroes, and joined them in expelling Iwa, or the few remaining Iwa. It only took 3 days of fighting for the land of the bears to be free, where they raised their flag and declared their protection and alliance with Yuzu and Kumo. The following day, the land of the valleys, Kumo, launched an invasion of liberation from the north and Yuzu from the east and southeast. Although the fighting was fierce, both countries infiltrated soldiers into the occupied villages and incited the inhabitants themselves to take up arms, which they succeeded in doing. Within a week, the valleys were free, where they requested to become a protectorate of Uzushio. The rest of the nations were shaken by what had happened. Inoki couldn't believe what was happening. Upon his return from Suna, he learned everything. In order to secure his lands, he had to sue for peace, accepting the new free states, and promising not to attack Uzushio's allies or facilities. Then Yuzu, Boruto and Kawaki read their father's letter to Arashi, the youngest of Naruto's children, since the little boy, only 6 years old, was an enthusiast. His divine heritage, he was a skilled blacksmith, he recognized metal just by looking at it and knew where to find it, in addition to being able to see the deceased and ask them for advice. Arashi was a red-haired boy, a skilled swordsman thanks to the training of his brothers, whom the youngest admired as his heroes, along with his father and paternal grandfather. Himawari, despite being a girl, also got excited although she feared for her father, because he worried her. In Konoha, Iwa's defeat in a direct war was met with a sour face. They saw their mistake, cursing themselves for listening to those senile old men in the capital, covered in gold and luxury, while administering the territories and abusing their authority. They only hoped to avoid going to war for the time being. In Suna, Baki was furious, so in his anger, he decreed the invasion of the island nation of Pearls, where, lacking a militia, it fell into the hands of the Kazukiage, who began to exploit the people inhumanly. Uzushio was not pleased, as was Kumo and the alliance the two were forming, the League of Free Peoples. The League of Free Peoples was led by Kumo and Uzushio, where they proposed to defend against the aggressions of other nations. Among its members was the new nation of water, whose daimyo had been overthrown by the people and opted for a system like Uzushio, being one of the first to join. The countries that joined were Spring, through trade treaties and military support, as Koyuki imitated the military model of the new Yuzu, in addition to having a political marriage with Iruka Yamino. The land of Claws, which decided to join for protection in order to avoid the fate of the vegetables and the birds, also as a minor nation, did not agree with what the great daimyos had done. The country of Iron, which despite the hostilities of Iwa, remained standing, its samurai would not let their country fall. The country of the lakes, to be able to have protection against the incursions of Suna. The honey country, due to the fear they felt about the proximity of the Suna colony and the pearls. The country of the sky for its alliances with Kumo. The country of forests for its alliance with Uzushio. The country of silk, the same as the forests. The country of stone, the same as the country of heaven. The entire East was in an alliance prepared for defense in the event of war. This annoyed and surprised Konoha, Suna and Iwa as their imperialist pretensions became very evident, so they felt it necessary to calm the waters. Chapter 15. Peace before the war. The war against the Earth Empire made the League of Free Peoples feared, not because they all had powerful armies, but more so because of Uzushio and Kumo, but more so with the former, their motives, their walls were impenetrable, their warriors marched to fight until the life left their eyes with great devotion. The Amazons were feared throughout the elemental continent, as well as respected, many women admired them, but saying that in lands ruled by Danzo, Enoki and Baki meant being sentenced to death. In the land of the bears. Uzu's forces were boarding their ships. For being the son of the Yellow Lightning, you were more bloody. Naruto. It's not crazy to think that my mother is the bloody habanero. Several put you in the bingo book showing him the book. Book entry. Name. Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki. Rango. SSSS. Danger. Do not confront if you are not a cage or if there are several cages together. Description. He is the ruler of Uzushio, he is the son of Yellow Lightning and Bloody Habanero, both S-rank ninjas, without using chakra he is too strong, so if he uses ninjutsu his danger increases. Recompenses. Konoha 150 million Rias. Iwagakure 500 million Rias. Sunagakure 100 million. Naruto. Wow. We didn't place you because you are allies, you are respected here. Naruto. Thank you, Lightning King This war opened many doors for us, and who knows perhaps the alliance we have built. Naruto. Be dragged into the war by those three. You. Ninja Kumo. Gentlemen bound we have Haiden and Kakuzu in custody. They both went to the room that held them both chained. Haiden. Wow, he's the current king of Yuzu. Kakuzu. I'll only talk if I get something in return he said licking his lips. At that moment a dark presence was felt throughout the room. Haiden. Who is he? His presence is greater than Jashin Sama's. So Jashinist. Naruto ya. Lord Hades. Hades. It's a pleasure to see that you have a deal with me, a follower of that dying god of death. Haiden. Pipiro J Jashin Sama. Hades. Don't take it personally, but I hate the god taking Haiden's soul. Haiden's body fell inert to the ground, while in Hades' arm, a red sphere screamed not to take him away. Naruto. Thank you my lord Hades. Hades. It's a pleasure returning to the underworld with a new subject. I'm glad we have the gods on our side. Kakuzu. Why? Naruto. Shiro. Shiro with 5 arrows would pierce Kakuzu's 5 hearts, leaving the former Akatsuki dead, but Zetsu would appear annoyed. Zetsu? But what have you done? Naruto. So you finally come out to talk. Zetsu. You are dangerous Kyuubi no Jinchuriki. Naruto. And your tongue isn't too sharp, son of Kaguya. Let's get to the point. Zetsu. What do you want from me? Naruto. We want to help free Kaguya, but without the use of the Biju. Zetsu. Only divine intervention can do that. And that's why we're here. That's right brother. Shiro and Naruto I'm glad to see my dear little brothers. Shiro. It's a pleasure, Apollon I. Naruto. Lord Poseidon and Lord Zeus bowing with the rest. Poseidon. It's a pleasure to meet you, champion of Olympus. Zeus. Naruto, so he's Zetsu. Naruto. Yes, Zeus-sama. Zetsu. And what do they want? Zeus. Simple release Kaguya. After those words Zetsu would abandon his defensive position and obey the orders of Olympus. Zetsu. In that case I will put myself at the service of Olympus Zeus-sama. Zeus. Wise decision. After that Zetsu was taken to the place that imprisoned Kaguya, while the gods, the 12 Olympians emanated their power, while freeing the rabbit goddess, without destroying the moon, in addition to stopping any stupidity that caused by wanting to recover Shinju. Then Uzushio. Naruto was helping Kawaki while he sutured his wounds since it prevented him from playing and healing with music, while a small red-haired boy appeared in front of them. Child. Brothers running. Naruto and Kawaki. Arashi. Arashi. How did it go? Did you kill a lot of people? Tell me if I can beat you. Tell me if I can. Naruto. Calm down, dwarf stroking his head you're missing a lot, although if you want then looking at Kawaki. Kawaki. Will tell you. Thus both would tell him everything about the battle, omitting the bloodshed, causing sparkles in the infant's eyes. In the lands of the bears. Naruto was receiving Kaguya who, somewhat distrustful, accepted the gesture of being accepted in Yuzu as another citizen, while they told her what had happened. Have a good trip. Naruto. We'll be in touch. Pankuro. Good luck on your journey, Poseidonis will hold out. Kaguya was surprised, that was the devotion they had, so she decided to ask. Kaguya. What's happening with the chakra Hagoromo gave them? Naruto. In order to progress we decided to stop using it since it is from the Shinju tree, although that tree is a being of chakra and will recover its fruit sooner or later. Hagoromo distributed the chakra as if it were peace, but humans easily succumb to the machinations of the work of the deities of war, which is why they used it as a weapon. Pagaya. Wow, I thought you would follow that dream of peace. Naruto. Peace without power is a mere dream, ideals without justification are nothing more than a dream, that is why for there to be peace both things are needed, understanding to keep your people happy, and power to keep your enemies at bay. Pagaya. Hagoromo made his children fight to see which ideal was the best, but he never told them that the reality was different, condemning both of them to eternal fighting. Naruto. I know I'm a transmigrant from Ashura and a friend of Indra, but we left that fight behind when we saw the reality of our home village Konoha. Pagaya. So they broke that cycle smiling. I wish I could see Hagoromo's face with this. Thus, between long talks about the past and each other's lives, the ships arrived at Yuzu, where Kagaya saw the gigantic colossus at the entrance of the port. Kagaya. You've certainly done well, boy. Zetsu. The Bijuus live here. Naruto. Except for Matatabi and Jayuki, the rest yes, Son Goku is a philosopher along with his former Jinchuriki, and each Biju lives free, in peace and without fear of being used as weapons. After that, each ship docked at its berth, while Kagaya was received with honors by the Uzumaki family, while Boruto and Kawaki talked about the battle on their walls, while Naruto hugged both of them telling them that they were now men. In Konoha. Danzo was furious. The Biju were free, the rabbit goddess he so desperately wanted to free and control was free, and according to spies in Yuzu, the Akatsuki had either been dismantled or had been given new lives in Yuzu. This situation made him somewhat desperate, but he kept his composure and established a new Iwa front. Name. Baki was surprised by what Yuzu and Kuma were showing, this undoubtedly scared and enraged him, although he did not show it openly, so he chose to do the most logical thing to expand, attack the weakened Earth Empire, while he looked for Danzo to convince him to divide the lands, he would keep the area to the west, and Danzo with all the lands that could be in front of Kumo. Inuagakure. Inoki was furious, his defeat against Yuzu and Kumo weakened his Earth Empire, and it began to decline while revolts began in the conquered lands, his soldiers revolted in support of their places of origin, so he feared measures from his allies. 1 year later. After meeting Suna and Konoha, both decided to calm the waters by helping Inoki, while their forces entered the lands and helped both Earth soldiers and rebels, convincing them to revolt and overthrow Inoki, while offering very good deals from Konoha and Suna, which they did not accept. Inoki was already desperate, but his pride would prevent him from asking Yuzu and Kumo for help. The previous war weakened them, and it would be humiliating to ask them for support, so the inevitable happened. Iwa and its Earth Empire were eradicated from the face of the map, its borders no longer existed. Iwa was subjugated to be divided into two areas of influence, Konoha and Suna, while the rest of the lands were divided into two nations currently called the Fire Empire and the Wind Empire. In use. The fall of Iwa only prompted Naruto to prepare the defense of the city, while warning his allies to be ready. War was imminent, the war that would define the fate of their times, its continuation or subjugation. Pagaya seeing this knew that she should fight even if it is not to her liking, so she had Zetsu help by organizing white Zetsus, hunting criminal gangs, mercenaries, while organizing the forces of the moon as she called it, a force that Naruto allowed her to create in Yuzu, in exchange for her never attacking Uzushio, and after the final war, find some lands where to settle and govern as it should be, with justice, since the evil and madness that arose after eating the Shinju fruit vanished. In addition to that, it would give rise to being able to fall in love, have children again and start from zero, with someone who does appreciate it and is not as greedy and jealous as Hagoromo was when manipulating Himura to seal the rabbit goddess. Regarding his children, Boruto would begin to fall in love with a girl named Sumire, where thanks to Naruto, she was able to be received in the village. The problem was with Kawaki, who started dating Sasuke's daughter, where the emo wanted to kill him for messing with his daughter, as did Fugaku for touching his sister, while Persephone fell in love with an Outsutsuki, Toneri Outsutsuki who, upon seeing Kagaya stare at him, decided to give up his intentions on the Tensogen. So after meeting the blonde-haired Uzumaki and facing the Kawaki brothers and Boruto and putting up a fight, he was accepted by Naruto as his eldest princess's fiancé. The three eldest Uzumaki men were sure that no one would touch Himawari if they were not worthy. Also something that happened was that Hinata was pregnant again, giving birth to twins, Hinatsu Uzumaki and Minato Uzumaki, both with the genetics of their parents, the first being a male copy of Hinata with mustache marks, and Minato, a copy of Naruto. Shion also wanted to be a mother again, but an illness made it impossible for her to conceive more, being the last of Naruto's children to be born. But this peace would not last forever because the war was near its doors. Danzo was about to break his relations with Baki, while the aforementioned tried to enter the territory of countries allied to Yuzu. The last Great War. The end of the feudal era. The fire daimyo, along with other surviving daimyos deposed without the wind daimyo, can be seen handcuffed, while Danzo and the rest of the counselors looked at them with extreme arrogance and smiles of pure malice. Daimyo. Danzo, why are you doing this? Danzo. Why? Because I want the ninja world in the palm of my hand, because I want to forge my own empire in my own image, with no one to answer to. Daimyo. I see, finally what Minato warned me about you came true, how wrong we were. Danzo. Perhaps if they hadn't betrayed the Uzumakis, they would serve as allies today. Orochimaru. Kukikuku, not just anyone would have said it, Kukuku. Kabuto. Sensei, what do you want to do? Danzo. People of fire, today the days of corruption end, today the days of decline stop, today glory returns to our new empire, the Empire of Fire. Several would begin to cheer and support, many of them samurai and former shinobi angry with the measures taken. Kaharu. This is going to lead to our destruction, she thought with fear. Orochimaru. Too bad the Kyuubi boy's parents can't be used by Ito Tensei, he thought remembering when he did the jutsu. Danzo. Last words. Daimyo. I hope, I'm sure I will, that you burn in the deepest part of hell. Danzo. If that were to happen, after my death I would be in heaven beheading him while the rest of the shinobi did the same to the rest. Danzo. What do you think, my old friend? Hiruzen. The plan went perfectly smiling through his Ito Tensei form. Madara. And to think I could break out of this control with the albino rat jutsu. Hashirama. I told you it was a bad idea. Kaburama. TSK. Mr. Sunagakure. Aki was executing every opponent while after 20 subjects, he would reach the daimyo. Daimyo. You will not prosper in your plans, Danzo will not let you achieve the same goal. Aki. He won't do it if he falls first by slitting his throat. In the rest of the continent. The news of the execution spread like wildfire at an explosives party. In use. Naruto upon finding out decided to take his two boys, although Arashi, Minato and Hinata were there, they were too young to understand the battles, that is why they decided to leave them outside. Naruto. I agree with leaving Arashi out. Kawaki. And the twins are too young for this. Naruto. I know, what I want you to know is that there may be war. Naruto. Danzo and Baki, right? Seriously. Naruto. Yes, that's why I want to entrust the city to you. Kawaki and Boruto. No. Naruto. What? Surprised. Kawaki. This time we'll go with you. Naruto. No, don't ask me to bury them. Naruto. We already fought in battle, and although we were afraid of dying, we fought for Yuzu, and now if we do it again it will be by your side. Kawaki. Our swords are yours, both brothers would put. Naruto. My boys hugging both. I wouldn't bear to see you dead on the battlefield, but you're right, I shouldn't treat you like children, you're young and will soon become men. Naruto. Yes, regarding that nervous. Kawaki. What did you do now? Thinking that his brother made a huge mess. Naruto. Hehe, Sumire is pregnant, man, you're going to be a grandfather. Naruto. Son, hugging the aforementioned, you make me happy that you want to settle down, but I didn't expect that at 14 years old you would already make me a grandfather. Naruto just laughed nervously and Kawaki was sweating. Kawaki. Dad, I think I screwed up too, could you hide me from Sasuke, Fugaku and Itachi? Naruto. Don't tell me Sarada is. Kawaki. See. Naruto. I'm going to be a grandfather. Cheers, but going to the battlefield with this gives me more reason not to let them go, but oh well, we'll figure it out when the time comes. At the Uchiha residence. Sasuke. I'm going to kill the Dobe's son. No one desecrates my daughter. Itachi. I'll help you, nobody touches Sarada. Both were about to leave, but some chains held them back. Karen. Kukuku, so with a sweet smile they're going to kill my son-in-law, eh? Sasuke. And no, Karen-chan trembling with fear. I'm not Kumo. I had received a message while watching this. A. Be it. B. See brother. A. Prepare your defenses, no one leaves Reo without me knowing about it. B. What's up? A. Konoha and Suna will go to war to prove who the true empire is with this. B. Okay, no rapping and serious. The border with Bear Country was fortified to the maximum extent possible, while each nearby allied nation or member of the League of Free Peoples deployed its forces to defend its borders. The land of water. The new ruler Yugura, who after the leader of the water temporarily decided to leave office, was elected supreme tribune of the people, so in all civil and military matters he had access. Yugura. Oh, devil's paperwork depressed, you don't know how happy I was to leave you. Yugura. Brother. Yugura. What's happening? Yugura would deliver the note. Yugura. Damn, prepare the fleet, get our soldiers ready. In the rest of the continent. All the nations were preparing for the impending conflict, reinforced the borders while combining his troops with the Bear Country and in Konoha. Danzo was giving a good speech in front of the soldiers who were now near the borders against Baki, while the revived saving Hiruzen watched this with disappointment. Danzo. Today our village becomes the one that rules the world, today it will take its rightful place, today the end of our enemies begins, today Konoha becomes the only and most powerful empire. The soldiers cheered. Habarama. Both he and Hiruzen disappoint me. Hashirama. Same here, brother. Madara. Although it is a good speech. Danzo. Today our main obstacle will fall to go after the greatest enemy Yuzu that would paralyze Hashirama and Tabarama. Madara watched this cautiously, that is why glory be, revenge be. War. After that, the hordes of troops under Danzo's command launched themselves, soldiers, samurai, revived, and shinobi, all of them throwing themselves with a purpose, at least those not controlled by Ito Tensei. Each village was conquered, the deaths were not many, because in Danzo's words, we must show ourselves as liberators, not slavers, not dictators, even though that would mean taking everyone under 20 years old to the root forces and leaving the pregnant women elsewhere, while the rest of the village was massacred. Baki tried to stop the waves with his armies, but it was impossible to stop the skirmishes with every force, every regiment, every battalion. In use. The news of the war was not long in reaching Yuzu. Naruto was sure that this would define the destiny of his times, not that he believed in that, if only Neji saw it now, he would undoubtedly be joked about, destiny does not exist, he had once told him, but now that he had the knowledge, well of the three old women Clotho, Lachesis and Atropos, destiny did exist for them were the Morai, who ruled the destinies themselves. Naruto. Sasuke, what do you advise me? Sasuke. Danzo launched everything against Suna, maybe we can invade them. Ara. I'm with him, if we wait we'll get millions. Naruto. Even if it's billions, Yuzu won't fall. But better safe than sorry. Send messages to our allies. Sasuke would nod. Gaara, tell Kankuro that the strong Positonus will launch the attack from Kumo. Gaara. I will do so. Gaara and Sasuke would leave the room while Boruto and Kawaki entered. Boruto. What will you do? Naruto. You guys will be at the forefront if something goes wrong with this. Kawaki. It will be fine. Boruto. Hi. Naruto. Please leave me with your brother. Kawaki would nod and leave. Boruto. What's up? Naruto would only give his sword to Boruto. Naruto. Sometimes sacrifices are necessary and a father always gives everything for his children, just as my father did, I will do it. Boruto. But. Naruto. After this, Yuzu will be in your hands. Boruto. You saw the Morai, right? Dejected, he knew what would happen if someone saw the Fate sisters, it meant the end was near. Naruto. Hey, hugging him, you know that even though you are the oldest, on whom more responsibilities fall, you are an incredible, loving Joker boy like I was at that age, you also have a great love for your younger brothers like I had for your uncles, you will be a great king with those values. Boruto only reciprocated the hug, tears were falling, but it was not the time to show himself like that. The next day. Boruto, Kawaki, Arashi, Minato and Hinatsu watched the ships depart from the port, all five of them knew it, maybe Naruto never told them, but they weren't idiots, they had some slight traces of the intelligence provided by Athena, even if they didn't show it. Boruto. Kawaki, we are both the vanguard. Kawaki. My men are ready. Persephone. So it's true, arriving with her husband and younger sister Himawari. Boruto. Yes, and don't say what you mean, pointing at the miners. Persephone. It will be hard and they know it, seeing the horizon and the sails of the ships disappearing into them. From 2.30 the video. Boruto and Kawaki had a combined legion of 25,000 men in those years, enough to reinforce and defend the city. Inogen, his cousin, had barely 5,000. Only 30,000 men and Amazons were counted as a garrison for reinforcements. Time skip. It took Naruto and his forces a week to reach the continent, during which time Yagura's ships joined them, while from the northern areas A and Kankuro, they pushed into Danzo's territory. For Danzo, it was a surprise that a front had opened, he never planned to leave troops in the rear, but he was not the only one affected. Baki was also surprised because Killer Bee led a group of troops through the lands of Iowa, people were rebelling in the cities, and those who could fight joined. Both attempts of emperors faced two fronts in a war, but what they feared was armed, a third front opened, Kagura in command of the allied vessels and troops, because Yagura divided his naval forces. While he accompanied Naruto, they began a landing on beaches near Suna, while Naruto did so near Konoha. The carnage was not long in coming, where the revived saw the wonders of the new eras. Thanks to Naruto, several Ito Tensei were freed from their control and remained in this world by the intervention of the power of Hades. Hiruzen was no exception, as his sins were revealed, while the Furies and Harpies appeared and dragged them to the depths of Tartarus, under the looks of contempt and disappointment of their ancestors. Danzo underestimated Uzushio from Konoha, but that thought went away when he heard a charging noise. Kiba and Lee threw themselves against the walls of Konoha with more than 150 elephants, followed by Shiro's cavalry charges. After the charges of the aforementioned, Sasuke ordered the troops to attack, the Uzushio phalanxes charged, while the few remaining resistances did their best to defend Konoha. In vain, the former Uchiha and the eldest Uzumaki entered the former village on horseback, accompanied by their faithful warriors and his Amazon wife. And Suna, Kankuro and Gaara entered the city as every soldier formerly loyal to Baki surrendered or was killed. People threw laurels as the passing riders passed by, welcoming them as liberators. Instead of being captured, Baki was hanged by Gaara's orders, ending the Sand Empire. His body was left as an example of what happens to those thirsty for power. Several of his loyal followers were dismembered and their limbs tied to horses. Back in Konoha. The last battles were taking place, but Naruto saw what he never wanted to see, his younger brother, Shiryu Uzumaki Namikaze, being pierced by an Ajinata by Fu that spilled the last straw of sanity he had left. Only the Hokage Tower was besieged, the people were massacred, only children and pregnant women were saved from that fate. Naruto was not a genocidal, but several were so brainwashed by Danzo that they were beyond saving. Naruto charged on his horse, decapitating Fu, to see Danzo leave with a look of pure hatred. Danzo. So you come back weapon. Naruto. Hold your tongue, you old coot, cutting off his bandaged arm, while Sasuke used a spear to pierce his bandaged eye. Danzo. How? Sasuke. For my brother and clan, for me and my family. Naruto. For my parents, for my brother and for Yuzu. Danzo. I see, taking off his kimono and revealing some fuinjutsu tattoos. If I fail I'll take them with me. Sasuke. No, throwing himself. Naruto. Don't do it, taking him out of the way, take care of the others, team tangling the adamantine chains on him and Danzo as a shield and using the power of Zeus. Sasuke. Dobe hitting the dome, only to see his left arm char upon contact. A loud explosion sounded nearby, while smoke spread through the area. Niji. Naruto. Shikamaru. Troublesome blonde. Lee. Naruto-kun. Hiba. Naruto. Sasuke. Time. Naruto Uzumaki had been found, his wounds many, his blood flowing, while a smile was reflected on his face. The war, the last of the wars, was over, the greedy and power-hungry ones eliminated, but several lives that contributed, along with their great architect and his brother, one of his right-hand men, had paid the price. From Uzu, Naruto departed with 100,000 men, 35,000 of them, and he were the ones who paid the price for peace with their lives. Epilogue. It's curious to see the return of fewer Uzu-flagged vessels than those that departed with my father and uncle, in addition to the allied vessels we expected after the end of the war. A celebration broke out. The victory and defeat of all those who betrayed Uzu in the past, who betrayed my family, were dead. I should be happy for them. But it wasn't all happiness and celebration. There I saw them, my father and my uncle, carefully lowered by my godfather Gaara and Kawaki's godfather, Sasuke, while Kiba, Lee, and Niji helped to get them off. Unconsciously, I began to shed tears. Kawaki. Father dropping his own. Naruto continues narrating. There I also saw my sister cry, while Toneri comforted her. What hurts me the most is seeing Arashi, Minato, Hinatsu and Himawari waiting for him to return when I know he won't. My mothers, there they watched as they slowly gave in to their tears. I can't blame them. Despite being king, he always made time for all of us, whether it was training or playing. He always looked after and protected us, in addition to helping us fight and giving us affection. End of the narrative. The funeral lasted for a whole month, with the inhabitants of Uzushio and allied leaders leaving a memorial service for the man who had made such a great change in the world. Naruto was at Yuzu's royal mansion, while the blonde was with Kawaki putting on their armor for the final funeral. Kawaki. It will finally be time. Naruto. The last day we say goodbye. Kawaki. Arashi and the others miss him. Naruto. Like us, at least they understood. Kawaki. Arashi tries to call his soul with the powers of Lord Hades, but. Naruto. He must have risen like all those heroes, waiting for the call to fight again. By the way, Uncle's armor suits you. Kawaki. Now you have dads. That would include Hinata and Shizuka. Both. Mothers. Hinata. They are waiting for you. Shizuka. It's time. Both were dressed in ceremonial attire to bid their final farewell to their former husband, friend, and savior. In the center of Yuzu, the entire village was gathered, their allies like A, B, Yagura, the Daimyos he helped in the past, along with other important people, like Jiraiya the Gamasanin, Tsunade. Naruto. Thank you all for coming. As my father's eldest son, I am honored that you are present today, the day we say goodbye not only to a great king, a great architect, but to a father, a friend, a teacher, a warrior, and also to his side, his right-hand man, his blood brother, a great ally, an uncle, father, and friend, alongside the men and women who fought in the war, not only for Yuzu, but for the remaining free peoples. That is why I ask Sharon to take them to their eternal rest, that the ferryman guide them to the Elysian fields to their eternal rest. After those words, Boruto would proceed to place 2 gold coins on Naruto's eyes, while Rinnegan did the same with Shiro, his father, to see that each relative or close friend repeated the action with each deceased. Inari. May Hermes guide you and Apollo bless you. Myth. That Artemis gives place to the brave in the hunt. Konohamaru. May the gods grant them eternal rest. After Kawaki finished reciting the words, with Boruto's assent, along with his brothers, they took torches and began to burn the body. Rinnegan did the same with his father, while Ino and Kin touched their bellies. Shiro was going to be a father again and left without knowing them. The funeral marked a before and after in the history of the elemental continent. With the passage of time, the shinobi era disappeared and was remembered as history. Kaguya began to travel, seeing how the previous surviving feudal lords were only in pure misery or hanged at the entrances of villages and cities. The few who dared to want to regain power ended up being hanged by their own children. While the people saw them, they were fed up with their greed and their models of life, wanted to join the change. Kaguya saw this very interested. Hopefully in her youth the citizens had been like this with the rulers. The last thing known of her is that together with Zetsu, they forged a city under the similarity of the new Yuzu. That town was near the surviving city of Tenzaku. The map of the elemental nations changed drastically after the distribution of the conquered areas, where Yuzu obtained a significant portion of the Fire Nation's lands, and the entire Nami no Kuni, the remaining free territories, were formed as separate states. The peace Hagoromo once dreamed of was achieved in a different way. Fear and love, power and understanding. The Rakudo forced his children to fight for an ideal when both are needed. This was understood even by Naruto himself, a transmigrant from Ashura. Hagoromo, although he could have been forgotten, was removed from history with a revision, several teachings about chakra as a military and warlike use, leaving only the peaceful part of its use. Uzushio, the country of lightning, and the kingdom of water were the strongest nations and the guarantors of peace. Thanks to this, there were no more wars, no more conflicts, no more spies. The last time they were attacked was 20 years after the end of the Great War, where a group of Atsutsukas came to cause chaos. Their winner and who commanded the troops, a blonde-haired man with mustache marks on his face, his name Saruto Uzumaki, eldest son of the king of Uzushio Boruto Uzumaki and Samuto Uzumaki. Prince Saruto was a carbon copy of Boruto, except for the lack of a mustache mark on his face, since he had one, and his hairstyle which was similar to his grandfather's. When he turned 19, Mama Shiki and his group attacked. The first victims were his aunt Persephone and his uncle Toneri, leaving behind his only daughter Pasiphae Otsutsuki Uzumaki, along with Konohamaru and Inari who also lost their lives, both leaving their children behind. Saruto decided to charge with his 2 legions since despite the fact that at his age Boruto commanded more troops, the blonde decided to be wise like his father was, with the intelligence of Athena, by not giving him so many troops. Saruto, accompanied by his cousin Shisui Uzumaki, son of Kawaki Uzumaki and Sarada Uchiha, where they showed what they were made of, even outnumbered 5-1 against the Atsutsukas, where both cousins assassinated their leaders with the celestial bronze weapons, ending the last war. Saruto looked at the sky where he saw the constellation of the hero Hercules, to which mustache marks had been added to his face, while a star symbolizing the eye shone brightly. Saruto. Thanks Grandpa smiling. Shisui. Thank you, Grandpa next to his cousin. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.